Wherever you go. Wherever you go, I got you. Okay?
All right, thank you for your patience. The Board of Education is back from exec session. Mr. Kleppel is watching his daughter's last volleyball game and will join us when that's over. That will move us to agenda item 4, which is communications. And the card I have in front of me, I will turn this over to you, Dr. Boozer.
All righty, well, good evening. Okay, well, it's a great day in Unit 4. Yes, got some amazing presentations on tonight that I'm excited about. Awesome. And before I go into some of the things, I just have to say, spending time in the buildings on Fridays is awesome. So if you get a chance, go walk the buildings on Fridays, and you'll see all kinds of great things. Some of the kids think you're a celebrity, and some kids think that you rule the world, and some think that you're able to do the work of the United States. So, but it's just awesome because it reminds me of why we do what we do. So I asked Cabinet and different ones to just go and visit the buildings and see our schools in action. We have some amazing schools, and so you'll hear a couple of schools again tonight presenting on some amazing things happening. But until then, we want to shout out Franklin STEAM Academy, the robotics team. They're headed to the state competition. They advanced to compete in the state tournament on January 28th. Yes. So we're excited about that. Also, we want to shout out Central High School and Centennial High School. We have several students here. We're proud of these talented high schoolers who were named the all-state students by the Illinois Music Education Association. I am not going to read all these names, but from state band, jazz band, chorus, orchestra, we have some amazing students doing great things. So the names are there. So let's shout out our Central and Centennial High School all students for all Illinois Music Association. So congratulations to them. We have some, let me see if I have the right one. Sorry. Centennial High School students were awarded Living the Dream scholarships on this last Monday. Yeah, last Monday, not today. Yes. Centennial High School seniors Jordan Fan and Tara Armis received the Living the Dream Scholarship along with 8 other local students. Tara was also recognized with the Willie Somerville Memorial Award for Excellence in Arts. We have amazing things happening. Yes. So let's give it up for them. Which takes me to the next slide here. Unit 4 students honored for the Martin Luther King Creative Expressions. So over this past weekend, we want to say congratulations to all of our students who were honored for their creative expressions projects to celebrate the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So check out the story by WCIA. Check our social media link for it as well. And so right here you see students from IPA and Garden Hills who were there and who were also honored. And it's amazing. Creative expressions, we cannot do away with that. Our students are amazing across the board for so many different things. And so this was an amazing honor. Look at the faces of those family members and parents. It's great. So I just want to shout out all of our students who were honored for this. So let's give it up for them. We also want to say thank you to all who participated in our future freshman night. So both high schools look forward to welcoming our class of 2027. Wow. 2027. And look at these faces. So we're always going to have amazing students carrying on here the traditions and the wonderful work in Unit 4. So our future freshman night, wow, look at them. It's amazing in our beautiful facilities. Centennial, again, we want to say congratulations to Centennial High School wrestlers for the Big 12 Conference champs. They We had a big shout out to the wrestling team who participated in the Big 12 Conference. 3 team members are Big 12 champs. Congratulations to Brandon Harvey for 285-pound division, Nick Pinafetti, 152-pound division, and Jack Barnhart for the 220-pound division. So let's give it up for these 3 young men. All right, Central wrestlers place at the Big 12 Conference. So congratulations to the Central wrestling team who also participated in the Big 12 Conference. 3 team members came away with medals. Ron Baker earned a first place medal in the 126-pound weight division. Brock Vanderveer placed 3rd in the 195-pound division, and Xavier Neal won 3rd place in the 220-pound division, and the team placed 7th overall. So congratulations to our Central wrestlers. We got a lot going on. And congratulations to the Central boys basketball team as they won the consolation championship at the Salem tournament. And I don't know if you watched some of our social media, especially on Twitter, and how Coach Nix was so excited because culture really makes a difference. And so the culture that he is building with his boys is amazing. So as he ran down the stairs excited to the locker room and they poured water and everything all over him, I was just like, it was hilarious. So I just want to give him a big shout out because he has been trying to rebuild a program. And so if you don't know, this is just a small thing here because he's teaching our students to be student athletes, our ball players. They're in our schools, they're giving out back to the community, they're helping our elementary buildings. He's building young men so that we can be proud of them and we look and see them in our community every day. So I want to give a big shout out to Coach Nix and his team and to the Central Boys basketball program. Well, I have some cool earrings, one for Central and one for Centennial, thanks to somebody sitting up here. And I thought I was going to wear them. I think it was last week, I don't remember. But anyway, the game got canceled, or I should say postponed, and that's that big Central Centennial basketball game that everybody was 2 weeks ago on Friday. Yes, and it was exciting, and so the excitement was in the air. We had to reschedule it, so it's rescheduled for February 16th at Centennial. So it got postponed to some mechanical issues beyond our control, and I just want to say thank you to our O&M staff for working so quickly to correct this issue, and now it's on, okay? All of them, they're talking mean noise to each other, but it's all in fun. We also want to give a shout out. Whoops, I keep going too fast. Shout out to Central's dance team. They went to sectionals this past weekend, so we want to give a shout out to them for their hard work. These young ladies and men are doing great, and we're excited for the work that they're doing, and I'm glad that they represent us in Unit 4. So let's give a shout out to our Central dance team. All righty, so here I try to be out in the community to brag about this amazing school district that I always tell everyone I'm the proud superintendent of this great district, and it's always great to speak about what we got going on, and so it's always a great day when I get to share Unit 4 story with the community. So last week I shared an update with the Champaign County Association of Realtors, along with Dr. Jennifer Ivory Tatum from Urbana and Kelly Hill from the CU Schools Foundation and Gary Lewis from ROE. We all presented for our respective organizations, and it was a great time. Nice room full of realtors to be able to explain to them who we are and why, when they have people looking for a place to live, Champaign Unit 4 is the place to come to. So it was a great opportunity. Also just want to let everyone know that we do have free dental clinic coming up on Saturday, February 11th from 8 to noon at Parkland College. The dental hygiene clinic is going to be at 2400 West Bradley in Champaign. They have free dental exams and cleaning, fluoride treatments, and educational activities for all of our kids. And the best part about it, there's no appointments needed, so you just show up anytime between 8 and noon on February 11th for a free dental clinic. This next piece here is pretty exciting. Mark your calendars, Unit 4's Department of Family and Community Engagement is hosting a Mayan Kokoball Family Night at Centennial High School on January 25th at 5:30. So if you want more information, we'll have this also on our website. If you need more information, please feel free to contact our our Family and Community Engagement Center at face@u4sd.org if you have any questions, but we'll also have that posted. I Read, I Count. If you want to help improve a child's world 1 hour at a time, I Read, I Count is for you. We're looking for volunteers for this spring. Help make a difference in our community by becoming an I Read, I Count volunteer. Deadlines are this Friday, January 27th. There's still time to sign up to become a tutor to help address our opportunity gaps, and we want to make sure that we have great volunteers. It's 1 hour a week for 7 weeks to help change a child's life. So if you're interested, this will also be on our website, and you can also go to I Read, I Count's website and get access to the application, but we also have it here for you. So please come and help us make a difference. And attend today, achieve tomorrow. We still are pushing for attendance. It matters. It's a great day when all of our students are at school. So please make sure that your children are in attendance. It's one of the most powerful predictors of academic success. And we need every Unit 4 student at school every day for the entire school day. Okay, and this is still National Mentoring Month. Become a mentor today. It's not too late to become a mentor at CU One-to-One program. So visit our website or go to cu1to1.org for more information. And there's a lot of opportunities. Well, not a lot, but we can create some more if we need to. Opportunities to learn about the program and to be trained. We don't understand it, but the mentoring piece is, it goes two ways. We pour into the kiddos, and the kiddos also pour back into us. And so it's a great relationship, and students know when we care, and this is a great way to do it, is to become a mentor to help change a child's life or help pour into a child's life. Reminder, it's January. It's cold, but the snow is on its way. I listened to a Zoom conference call today, and this nasty stuff is supposed to be coming this week. So we're just reminding everyone to please prepare for the possibility of an e-learning day on Wednesday. Yeah, I don't like them either, but we got to make sure we keep everybody safe. So we don't know for sure, but we want to be prepared just in case. Our O&M department are ready, so we're reminding teachers to make sure they're ready, and we're reminding families to be ready to make plans if you need to, and we'll get those Chromebooks home, and we will have a day of e-learning if necessary. So hopefully I don't have to, well, we'll try to make the decision as soon as we possibly can, but, you know, I didn't go to school to be a weather person, but anyway. So, but that being said, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That will move us into agenda item 5, which is reports, new business. Item A is the presentation of the fiscal 2021-2022 audit. I will turn this over to you, Ms. Matkowski.
Good evening. Tonight, we are presenting the fiscal 2022 audit for the board. As the board is aware, we like to have the auditors in person doing the presentation of the audit. This will be relatively concise, but directed at the documents that you have in front of you with respect to the audit and audit documentation, including the annual financial report, the audit itself, and the single audit with respect to the grants and the grant applicant, or the grants that the district participates in. So Joe Lightcap is here. He's a partner at Baker Tilly. Joe's been working on the account for 6 years through various ups and downs with the district, with construction and COVID and the federal grants we now have. So he's got some experience in some things that we've been doing, and he is going to share that tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. And before I get going, I'd like to thank the business office for their help during the audit. It's definitely a collaborative process. We ask for a lot of information, ask a lot of questions, and the business office is very quick to provide information to us. So it's very much appreciated. A little bit about my agenda tonight. These are the topics I'll be covering: the engagement team, the deliverables, the audited financial statements, the reporting and insights letter, and then it says open discussion at the bottom, but really stop me at any time if you have any questions on anything I'm talking about or anything you've seen in the board packet. And it will be at a very high level and concise. Your engagement team, myself, and the manager, Amy Hausman, this is very important. We work with, as mentioned, the business office to complete the audit, but we ultimately work for the board. This is my contact information should you have any questions throughout the year, not just when I'm here presenting or during audit time, right? This is a year-round process, and should you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. The fiscal year 22 audit procedures are completed, and our reports were issued January 13th. The 22 audit deliverables, the audited financial statements, the ISB's annual financial report, the reporting and insights letter, the report on federal awards, and then the consolidated year-end financial report. That last one is a new state requirement, relatively new state requirement that is still in process, but will be issued soon. Going to the audited financial statements, a little bit about our services provided along with the audit. We also assist the district by preparing the financial statements. We prepare some adjusting and conversion journal entries to take the district's financial information and get it into the format you see in front of you. We assist with the compilation of the regulatory reports of the ISB financial statements and the schedule of expenditures of federal awards and the data collection form, which is the clearinghouse for the federal grant audit. I'd say this is we do assist the district with the preparation of these reports and these services. Management ultimately takes responsibility for everything that we help with and reviews and provides feedbacks and comments on everything that is in front of you. Some of the financial highlights: we once again issued a clean or unmodified opinion on the district's financial statements. It's the highest level of assurance you can get from your outside auditors. It states that the information within is reasonable in all material respects and can be reasonably relied upon by an outside user of the financial statements. One of the key documents in here is management's discussion and analysis. I'd like to provide where it is for you. It's on page 5, and it's really the story behind the numbers, management's perspective on what happened during the year, not just comparison to prior year in numbers, but the reasons behind it. So it's an easy to read part of the financial statement. It's the easiest part of the financial statements to read from management's perspective, and I would urge you to take a look at that if you were to look at nothing else. Two of the statements, pages 13 and 14, are the statement of net position and the statement of activities. This is the one time of the year that you'll see this kind of information. These two schedules have all of the district's financial information in really one column. So all of the funds and all of the accounts in one column in one place. And this has all of your assets and long-term liabilities, so all of your capital assets and all of your long-term debt really in one spot. It's a long-term focus with the focus being long-term. So how does net position increase or decrease over time? Because it can take some pretty big jumps up and down year over year, so it's really kind of looking at that trend to see how it's been. This year, the net position, which is your ending balance, increased by about $31.7 million, which is a very big number, but it's due to the spending of your funds on construction. So when you invest back into the school district in terms of capital assets, that'll raise your net position. In the financial statements, there's also a short-term focus set of financial statements, and this is by fund. So you can see the different funds of the district. And like I said, it's a short-term focus, so if a bill was payable at June 30th and paid after year end, it would be on here as a liability and expenditure. And if you had a receivable at year end and it was received within 60 days of year end, it would record it as revenue. So it's a pretty short-term focus, especially in comparison to the last two schedules I just discussed. At the end of the year, fund balance across all funds decreased by about $19.5 million due to the spend down of the bond issuances on capital projects. So we can see on the long-term level, it helped your net position. On a short-term focus, it went down because you did the work. The operating funds, the general fund, operations and maintenance, transportation, and IMRF, those funds decreased by about $1 million and have 6.3 months expenditures in fund balance. $12.9 million of that fund balance was transferred out of the operating funds into capital projects to help pay for projects. So this 6 months provides cash flows for when the district is not receiving property taxes or any delays by the state for state funding. As I mentioned, it's a short-term focus, and if you didn't receive revenue within 60 days, it wouldn't be in here. There's an additional $1.6 million at June 30th that hadn't been received within 60 days. So it's not recorded as revenue. The expenditures, you spent the money, but you hadn't been reimbursed for those expenditures at year end. So that's another $1.6 million that was received, I think, in September. Further on in the financial statements, there's budget to actual schedules for each of the fund. This is just the summary of total revenues and total expenditures from pages 59 and 66. I point this out mainly as you see some big variances between final budget and actual. The district estimates the budget for the state on behalf payment, which is the money that the state contributes on behalf of the teacher's retirement system and the teacher's health insurance for retirees. About $18.5 million of that variance is because of that number. That number was under budget. It's a very difficult number for the district to budget. So that swings this number greatly. If you were to take that out of these numbers, revenues would be about $4.6 million over budget, and expenditures would be about $5.3 million under budget. So both a lot smaller than what you see up there and a lot closer to actual. The state, in their annual financial report, they take the financial information and they provide a summary and their estimated score based on those numbers. As I said, it's estimated. The state will come back and look at it and make sure that they're in agreement with it. I haven't seen them make too many changes, big changes over the years, so you're probably okay. But right now, we have an estimated profile score of 3.8, which is consistent with what it was in the prior year. The only number here that isn't a 4, which is your highest score, is your percent of long-term debt margin remaining, which with the bond issuances for the capital improvements is a reasonable item there. I'll take a quick pause. That's really what I have on the financial information before I get into the non-audit results letter, if there's any questions from the board. Okay. So the reporting and insights letter, this is our report, the non-audit highlights. It really satisfies a few different auditing standards, provides information to the board about our audit. A little bit about our responsibilities. Our responsibilities are to provide an opinion on the financial information and also to consider internal controls as we provide that opinion. We don't provide an opinion on internal controls, but if something were to come out to our attention that we felt the board should know about, we would disclose that in the report, and I'll talk about that section in a little bit. Management's responsibilities to prepare, present the financial information, to establish effective internal controls over financial reporting, compliance with laws and regulations, as well as the federal audit compliance, and to provide written representations at the end of the audit, really saying that they gave us everything. And you'll find a copy of that letter in the back of the audit results letter. Some of the qualitative aspects of accounting practices, accounting policies, GASB 87 was adopted this year. This standard looked at leases, what we used to call capital leases, and now really separates them into a couple of different categories in your financial information, in your financial statements. One is called leases and one is called installment contracts payable, just really depending on who takes ownership at the end of the lease term. Didn't really have it, while it was a little complicated to go through all the different lease agreements that the district had, it really didn't result in a bottom line impact on your financial statements. So 8 different leases that were that existed in the prior year were just split out between 2 different categories, and 2 new leases that you entered into during the year, 3 new leases, they were recorded as leases during the year, which they would have been prior to the standard anyway. So not really an impact. Everyone's still kind of getting used to it. I was talking to Linda about the discussions with the credit agencies and kind of seeing what their impact will be. I don't expect there to be much of anything for the district. The accounting estimates were reasonable. The financial disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear. There were no difficulties in performing the audit, no disagreements with management, no real issues in performing the audit. We did have one material audit adjustment around capital projects and retainage, accounts payable and retainage payable. With all the construction going on, we did find some additional liabilities and expenses to put on the financial statements during our audit. Not too unusual with the volume of information that we were going through. Some new accounting pronouncements that are coming up in next year, and then the following year around subscription-based IT arrangement, compensated absences. Really, just for your information now, we'll go through those with management as the time comes and implement appropriately. Internal control matters, as I mentioned, if we were to find something during our audit, we would report that in this letter. There are a couple of kind of repeat findings, really due to the size of the business office and the standards you're held to during our audit. The standards don't care how big your organization is, and doesn't care if you're Unit 4 or Apple. You're under the same standards when it comes to our review, and obviously there's different resources available. So a couple of comments that are in there that are repeated, and we're always in communication with management to see is there anything that we can do and how can the business office improve. But some of this is just due to budget constraints. There's just a slide on some alerts from our website, should you feel interested, just different things that we prepare, newsletters for the board's consideration, and really just kind of any final questions on the audit results letter or anything else?
Thank you, Joe. This is a report only, so don't need a motion. Any questions? Kathy?
I just want to say a big thank you to the business office and to you for going through all this. And I appreciate every year you're going through the same thing about our, the couple of control issues. I think when I started, there might have been 4 minor ones, and now we're down to 2. And I think those 2 are just, as you said, about the size of the district. So I appreciate the work that has been done on this over the years to make us even better and more transparent. Thank you.
And when I was finishing up the audit on behalf of the board, I asked Amy, how are we doing? I took a temperature and just said, how's our business office doing? She said it was wonderful, that it was quick, responsive, accurate information. So I wanted to pass that along to our business office, that it was much appreciated on their end and very much appreciated on your end, Joe. This information also will be covered in depth. There's a finance referendum oversight meeting Wednesday.
Yep.
Pending weather. But you'll go over this in detail there also with that committee?
Yes, we're going to spend more specific time going over the back. I say this every year, the audit report's long, but the back sections of the audit, when you get past the AFR and you start looking at some of the notes, contain really good, deep analytic information about the district. So it's really valuable to take a look at. It includes tax information, demographic information. It's got debt information and the debt schedule payment, so people, have a chance to see that. We are finalizing, also submitting audits and financial data to EMMA, which is the MSRB, the Municipal Security Regulatory Board's it's sort of, if you will, clearinghouse for issuers to post information for bondholders. That's a federal statutory requirement. So we are just about there to get that posted up so that bondholders also have data. That document will also share. We've shared that before with the finance committee so that they know how to go get that information also and take a look at it. But there's some good statistical data in there, including the sales tax receipts, because those back the alternate bonds. And then additionally, all of this data will be posted up on the district's website. It'll be in the finance section of the district's website.
Awesome. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Joe, very, very much. Thanks for traveling here.
Happy to do so.
Okay. Travel safe home. Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye.
That'll take us to item B, which is a school spotlight. We have two this evening, Central High School and Bottenfield Elementary School. I will turn this over to you, Dr. Taylor.
Sure. I'd like to ask Central to maybe make their way up to the table since I know they'll be presenting first or wherever they're going to stand. This is the second in our series of having you get presentations from our schools, and they will be speaking directly to their school improvement leadership teams and their school improvement plans. And before they even get going, I thought each time I bring them up, I'll give you a little tidbit so you get a little information of some of the process. You may not realize it, but for the past 3 years now, every school improvement leadership team has to meet with me once a month to work on, to get them started as we did on the school improvement plan. Then they have their own committee meetings as chairs with teacher leaders. And then the teachers, you'll hear from some of them tonight, I'm sure from both schools. They meet with other teachers in order to carry out their school improvement plans. And there's also an admin meeting that I have with the schools where I meet with just the administrators to help prepare for that plan in that. So a lot of work goes into this, and I'm very excited to see Central start us off with the work that they've been doing.
How are you? Good? I'd like to start out thanking you for having us. We appreciate it. Several years ago, we did school spotlights, and it's nice to be back. And I want to thank all of you for having us and listening. I'll try to keep it concise and high level too, just like Joe Lightcap did. It's probably part of the Joe thing. Does this work? All right, good. So we actually have 4 instructional leadership, we have 4 school improvement leadership teams at Central High School. We have the instructional excellence team, where we talk about high expectations, differentiated instruction, systems of detracking, AVID, things at the classroom level and things we can do to support students at the classroom level. We have the culture and climate team. Our culture and climate team focuses on a little bit on the building, honestly, right? The place of the school as well as the sense of belonging for students. The equity team, it's in the title. It's something that's been a focus for a long time in the district, and we continue to focus on it. This year, they're working a lot with student voice and student difference-making groups, as well as continuing to think through what are the next steps professional development-wise and action-wise for our staff. And we have the family engagement and family and community engagement team, which is really a big deal for a big school. Right? And so we are consistently trying to think through and hear from our families, getting better, and our plans are really strong in that regard as well, to engage them as well as to increase clear communication. So a little bit high level, again, data and accountability. I just want to highlight some things. With regard to SAT, which is now if you don't know, it used to be the ACT, it's now the SAT that we go is our state test. Since 2017, Central's SAT scores actually have been higher than the state overall and the district. And we actually, this year, when we looked at the data, we have higher scores than 8 of the 9 other similar area high schools that we compare ourselves to. Similar being by size, by demographic, and that's big. Advanced placement, this is actually exciting too. We had a little dip with COVID, but we are definitely back to having more students take AP courses, more students from different demographics taking AP courses, more students taking the AP exams, and the key, more students scoring 3 or higher on the AP exams as well. So that's a real plus. And then under discipline, 98% of our students, we just ran the data around break time, 98% of our students comply with all of our school norms and procedures when you look at discipline referrals and that sort of thing. So that's, for a very large high school, that's excellent for us. Accountability responses, we are focusing on freshmen and graduation rate because they play into each other. All the research shows that the more focus you have on freshmen, the more you try to get them to be on track, the greater chance that the students will actually graduate from high school. So we have Tier 2 as a focus on freshman teams. We actually just looked at some great data. Ryan is in charge of all of our freshman teams. This is Ryan Kraus. He's one of our assistant principals. He meets with the freshman teams regularly. We look at grade rate distribution. We have panorama discussions on all of our teams. We talk about 4-year planning. Equal opportunity schools is reviving. It was there before. Kind of just looked at the data over COVID. We're reviving all of the things that go along with that. And then Avid Strategies school-wide is a big focus for us this year. That's a long time coming, but really glad to have it. With me tonight, before I get into our next thing, I just want to make sure, because I forgot, we have my administrative team, Ryan. We have Ryan. We have Montia Gardner. She's one of our assistant principals. We have Brian Yako, assistant principal. Jane Stillman, assistant principal. And then best of all, we have a couple of teachers here representing for our leadership teams. We have Jenny Slager. She's our with our special ed, but she also is our family and community engagement, one of our co-chairs for that. And Aubrey Wachtel, who is our equity co-chair. So we don't have, for the next one, we have instructional excellence team. So Sarah Long, who's not here tonight, she's our associate principal, and I, we both lead this team. We don't have a teacher yet. We keep looking for a teacher who wants to step up and take on that shared responsibility. But these are our 3 key areas of focus for that team. Avid, as I already said, Avid school-wide, and working on those Avid strategies. We just found out when we were working with Centennial in January, as we were thinking through our advisories, that actually Avid this year has created an Avid advisory curriculum. So we're excited about bringing those into our advisories next year for our freshmen and sophomores. Utilizing course-alike collaboration time effectively. High schools had a change. Before it was weekly Wednesday or late starts, and now we have the early outs. So we're working on trying to get those course-alike collaborations to be really effective with different timelines. And then identifying and using means of differentiation. This came out when we've surveyed our staff and talked with our staff as a big deal, especially as we detrack courses. That differentiation is really key. Moving on to culture and climate. Corinne Pennock could not be here this evening for a medical procedure. So I'm just going to talk through her 3 areas of focus for her team. Improve the sense of belonging. Again, that's that internal sense of belonging that students have in our school. That's a focus for them. Increasing a sense of security, and then moving students' sense of central from just a space to actually being a place, right? So those are their 3 key areas on their committee. Next, I'm going to hand it over to Aubrey. Aubrey's going to talk about her committee, equity.
Thanks, Joe. As you can see on the slide, we are working on analyzing the diversity and equity of student difference-making groups. That does mean basically surveying the students that are part of things like student council, yearbook, but also the rest of our student organizations around the school to try and find out what kids are participating and participating in those things that set up our the milieu of our student body. So we're analyzing that and then hopefully looking at, okay, where are we missing some representation in those groups and trying to find ways to encourage those students, groups that are underrepresented in those clubs to get involved and have a voice. We're also looking at, what other organizations can we help to encourage to set up, like the Social Justice Committee or social justice choir, and getting those kids engaged a little bit more. And then long term, we're looking at what kind of professional development can we provide to staff that actually really sets them up with instructional tools, things that they can change about what they're doing in their classroom in order to provide a more equitable learning experience and help to close those achievement gaps. I am joined by Mr. Kraus and Dr. Gardner on this committee, and we do have representation from multiple departments. And we're not just looking at, our young Black males, but also our students with disabilities, our LGBTQ community, as well as our multi-language learners as well. So we're trying to diversify what we look at in terms of equity.
And now we have Jenny Slager. She is representing the Family and Community Engagement team.
We are excited because, like Joe had mentioned, we are really excited to welcome freshmen and really be focused on freshmen in a lot of ways. So one of the things that we are doing is reformatting Open House as well as our Future Freshman Night. So we talked about Future Freshman Night during communications that we just had it last Thursday, and we had about 350 people there, which is just an excellent outcome, especially post-COVID when we had to do it via Zoom. And so it was exciting to have people in the building and to hear some feedback from families and have them tell us that it just took a little bit of that weight of anxiety of this big transition to high school, and to be able to do that in January instead of in August feels really good. And so we're excited about that. And that subcommittee is now going to put their focus on open house and how we can make open house not just about sort of just the nuts and bolts of Central, but also really welcome all students into the school climate and culture. So we're looking at reformatting those, and we were excited about our outcome for Future Freshman Night. We have also been looking at our family conferences in both March and then upcoming, and then in the fall in October. We piloted some team conferences for our freshmen. And we're excited to expand that to even more freshmen, to continue to allow families to hear the positives as well as the areas that we want our students to be supported in. And we are also looking at expanding to having a follow-up date for family conferences for those families that were unable to attend at those times outside of the school area as well, just to allow families to really have multiple opportunities. And so that comes through the work of teachers becoming home visit trained and having that opportunity to meet with families in a space that they feel comfortable. And lastly, one of our last area of focus is a consistent means of communication with students and family. And one of the biggest areas that we were looking at was the website, and we were so excited to see the new website, and we're just excited to continue to work with the communications department on how we can make it even more accessible to families and make it meaningful, so that it's not just a place that is static, but that has ongoing communication, calendars, as celebrations, and a place that when people want to know what's happening at Central, they know they can go right there. And that, a big area of working on that, we have two subcommittees, one group working on the academic communication, and then when working with the athletic department with Jane, we've been working on also how to help families have consistent communication with athletics and extracurriculars, so that we can continue to make it so that families know what opportunities their students have, so then they can reach out and then their students feel a part of the school. So we're very excited.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Laura gave me the eye. Do you have any
Well,
questions?
Last time they ran out so fast, so yeah, stay here if they have some questions, please. If you guys have questions, please. I know they were coming possibly. Oh,
I want to know what his question is. Good. Elizabeth?
Oh, there's a question. Audience? No. Oh, Elizabeth?
Yeah, so thank you. I had a few questions. One question was specific to the equity committee or subcommittee. As you're talking with students, so you had mentioned that you're going to students from underrepresented backgrounds and yearbook, and you gave some other examples. I was curious about the reasons that you're hearing from these students of why they needed to be approached in the first place. Like, why aren't they already engaged? What are you hearing from students?
So I am not able to answer that question yet. We're still in the process of collecting data from those groups to find out what those organizations look like in terms of demographics. So our next step would be to find out why and to look at ways that we could approach promoting those organizations and making them look more accessible to a variety of different groups. Somebody that's just been paying attention to this and is passionate about it, I'm sure that we do have an issue with language gaps, right, that interfere with students' understanding of what's available to them. So a big part of what we'll be looking at is how can we get that information out to our multi-language learners, and also to look at ways that we might get this information out to students besides just like the student announcements or even presentations that we do, especially like Freshman Day and our first full day of school. We promote these student organizations to all students, but looking at like ways that we might make that more appealing to them or make them feel like we really want them, not just that it's available to them, but we want them to be involved. But so far, we haven't gotten to the step where we're able to really like ask kids, like, why is it that you're not participating in these yet? Because certainly there are other factors to consider. These are after-school programs oftentimes, and so accessibility for transportation. A lot of our young students that aren't participating aren't doing so because they have other jobs that they're doing after school or they're watching their siblings and things like that. So we can also take a look at like, well, when are these clubs meeting, right? When are these organizations meeting so that they might be available to students that might have trouble doing it outside of school. So we've got a lot to do. We're just starting with collecting the demographic information because we feel that it's pretty strong to have the data to then back up the next steps, that we're not just asking like, the students to pay attention, but the teachers to pay attention as well to get that buy-in. So did that answer your question?
Yes. Okay. And I'll pause here if anybody else wanted to ask a question.
If parents wanted to support you in your efforts, is there someone to contact, or are there a place for parents to support the efforts that are happening right now?
That's an interesting question.
It's something that actually, when we first started the SILT team a few years ago, we definitely talked about how can we engage parents in the process. I don't want to speak for Jenny, but I can say that that would be an ideal place for sure. And then I honestly think like when we're probably next year would be the year that I think all of the committees will be ready to invite other people to come to the table. To be quite honest with you, Central had some fits and starts when this process started. So, yeah. What's that?
Thank you. I really appreciate you recognizing that and saying that. But let me tell you, they are on a roll now.
Yeah, right. We're on a roll now.
Absolutely.
So I would say like this is we're counting this as year one of real like detailed getting down to the bare bones and not doing things just for paper, which is what it felt like, when we weren't in person, right? So I think next year, each committee can talk about how we can involve other people. Yeah.
I can add something that just so you know, there's a rubric that they do at the end of every school year. And if you get on the excellent part, the 4, it is that you've started inviting families to some of your committees. And some of the schools have some parents already on some of their subcommittees. So you'll see that. But we'll do that at the end of the year, and I'm sure it'll lead us into next year. But they are doing a remarkable job. This is really the year that it is turned the corner, and I think it's wonderful.
Did Elizabeth have another question?
Always and forever. This question could be for you, could be for multiple people, whoever would like to answer it. I'm curious about what has been a striking lesson that you have learned in making these changes? So maybe something surprising you learned, or something humbling, or something that's really resonated with you.
Okay. I can talk, but I'm going to see if someone else wants to first.
I mean, I can always talk.
You want to talk?
Sure.
Okay.
I tried to keep my time with the mic short, but here we are. I think in working with our group, one of the things that has been very striking to me is just how passionate we are about this. We care a lot, and so much that we have added like an extra meeting to our time. Our teachers have agreed to come together and say, we want to work on this more. Just even the survey that we're sending out to students, we put so much care and time and attention into the language and making sure that we were being aware of how we can make it feel as inclusive as it possible, that all students have the opportunity to be represented in this demographic survey in whatever way they feel like they want to identify, or where their kind of ownership over their personal identity may be, either in ethnicity, religious background, language, orientation, you name it. We tried to find a way to make sure that we're like catching all of those kids and seeing where their interests fall and where their engagement falls, and then also where we're missing students. And the time that we put into that and the conversations that our committee members had with students to prepare for that, it's just one little survey that I just sent out to teachers, but we put so much care into it. And I think that to me was very eye-opening just as a committee chair. So.
I'll keep mine short. From our committee, I think we're really excited about what ABBA can do more at the high school. For so many years it's been there, and it's just been a class. It's been in one room. Its identity has all been in one room. And to see it starting to grow, to see us starting to talk about other things how it can spread, to hear the curiosity of teachers as we do talk about it in our committee, I think that's pretty exciting for us. Jenny? Yep.
I think for the Family and Community Engagement Committee, one big area that we have been excited about is just seeing how much we want people to know all the opportunities that they have at Central. And so it was exciting the way we restructured this year to have every teacher be a part of a SILT team. That was a big part because we got a lot more voices, and by building it into the workday, it allowed people to be invested in it in a more meaningful way. And so to be able to look at how can we make sure that families feel they have a consistent way of getting information, but also that students can come and see what's available to them. So I think just the restructuring of the format to allow every teacher to have an opportunity to have a voice in the process has been really important.
Questions? Were they overwhelmed on Future Freshman Night in such a big campus and all new?
Honestly, I think it was a big. We had some students that stayed with the parents and walked around. I was really happy to see the students that were like, you go do whatever you want to do as an adult. We're just going to walk around with our friends and that sort of thing. So I liked the format. We did do a survey. Not only 4 people responded to our survey to try to get some feedback, but it was more of an open house, and it was really kind of fun to see the kids who were just venturing out. It was fine, when kids are with their parents too. So I wouldn't say. Definitely, you've been to Central, right? It is awe-inspiring to see our commons, to see our Decker Theater, to see lots of different things like that, and it's much bigger than any other school where they've come from, but it was fun, and they looked like they were enjoying it. Yeah.
I totally forgot to fill out the survey. You might send a reminder.
We could, yeah. I actually,
Sorry.
think I put it on the website today. It was on my list to do today. I think I actually added it to the live feed of the website, Ms. Moore.
Oh. And Leslie, how can we support you?
You know, you guys are, this board has always been supportive. It's, you know, we've been through a project with you, not a small project, right? It was nice to come here and not talk about that. So we get nothing but support from you. So I think just continue doing what you do, right? Come and visit, come see us, come talk with us as parents or as board members, and just be open to us, and we're going to continue to be open to you.
Great. Thank you all so much.
Thank
This
you.
is awesome. Great job. Thank you.
Okay, well, next we're going to transition to Ms. Kendra Bonham at Bottenfield Elementary School. And I'll let her go ahead and introduce all of her people and get started.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kendra Bonham. I'm the principal at Bottenfield Elementary School. Tonight, I have with me Renee Westfield, our assistant principal, Allison Carter, our equity chair, Jody Kirby, our chair for student learning and engagement, and Kristen Macklin, our culture and climate chair. I feel like this is too high. Thank you all for having us. Oh. So at Bottenfield, our school improvement leadership team is focused on three things: equity, student learning and engagement, and culture and climate. Our equity team is committed to improving student outcomes and ensure access to equitable resources and experience to every student in every space in Bottenfield. Our student learning and engagement team is committed to improving student outcomes by identifying and implementing AVID high-yield strategies that support our learning focus. Our culture and climate team is committed to improving students' sense of belonging by identifying areas within Panorama data where students need support. This year, elementary schools have been working with Dr. Taylor and Focus Schools to kind of narrow down our targeted learning focus. So with the help of Dr. Taylor, my wonderful team, and my wonderful staff, we have narrowed ours down to Bottenfield scholars are able to fluently speak, read, and write, as well as use and understand numbers to communicate and comprehend information.
Hi, I am up for, do we have the data? Okay. So our summative designation was commendable. Our IAR state data, we exceeded the state targets in ELA and math for all students. We do have an opportunity gap between our black and white students, but I don't want to leave that out there. I just want you all to know that we are committed to working tirelessly and unapologetically to close that opportunity gap. We're not taking any prisoners with this year. Our Panorama data, 76% of our students responded favorably to student-teacher relationships, and 77% of our students feel that they're able to self-manage. For accountability, we have our administrators, so myself and Ms. Bonham, we do the foundational skills walkthroughs, and our AVID site coordinators that are also back there are doing our AVID strategy walkthroughs just so that we can ensure that we're about what we say we're about. We've streamlined our RTI process. That's one of the things that we're doing to ensure that we're closing our opportunity gap. Our grade level tier 1 B's time, or our intervention block, is aligned to our targeted learning focus. And we have our AVID professional development for all of our staff. Everybody gets it. TAs, secretaries, everybody got it. So, Larry.
Hi, I'm Allison Carter. I'm the equity chair at Bottenfield. And so our team this year has been doing a lot of great things. So one of the things we're most proud about is by providing our professional development. So we've touched on topics of implicit bias, specifically racially implicit bias and microaggressions. We've talked on adultification of minority students. We've looked over the blind spot bias, and we've examined and done some things for our own classrooms. So we've been examining internal systems and structures to ensure that we're having equitable practices and outcomes in all of the spaces and places in Bottenfield. We also are creating opportunities for equitable experiences and community engagement for our students and families as a way to help close the opportunity gap. The picture up here is actually from our Bottom Fields Back to School night, where we were able to meet the teacher, students were able to meet their teacher, learn about AVID if they're new, and then pick out some books, take home some math manipulatives, so lots of things for family. Our next step for equity is to continue to plan and host our community family events and to continue to ensure equitable educational experiences for every student. Our team members are listed at the bottom. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jody Kirby. I'm the chair of the Student Learning and Engagement team. All of our fabulous team members as well are located at the bottom of the slide. We're focused on targeting high-yield instructional strategies within AVID that support our students' learning throughout the day. You can see in the picture, that's one of our kindergarten teachers, and he's doing an inquiry project about if a watermelon will sink or float, for example. We are working to expand our knowledge of different cultures to incorporate within our classroom communities and also within our instructional practices. Ms. Westfield touched upon this, but as something that we want to continue to focus on are those foundational skills. It provides a very level playing field when students are all proficient and have mastered that. So our administration is doing walkthroughs during the ELA block to help inform our next steps with that. In addition, we're identifying areas of professional growth for our staff that align with our above targets. Our next step is to focus on AVID Wicker strategies to help students school-wide succeed in mastering both academic and personal goals. Thanks.
Hello, I am Kristen Macklin. I am, excuse me, the Chair of Culture and Climate. This year, our committee has really focused on the Bottom Field school-wide expectations to make sure all of our students are performing at that high standard that we have for them. We have started back again since COVID, some school-wide assemblies, and in the picture, the big picture on the screen, you have our infamous Dr. Boozer, which is why my son really recognized her coming in for one of our assemblies on the back of a scooter. So it was definitely one to remember. And we're also analyzing panorama data to determine what our school-wide focus needs to be to support students and then ensuring the strategies are in place to be able to do that. We also wanted to make sure that all of our kids were taking that survey in the same way in order to ensure the validity of the results that we were getting back. So the survey that we took in the winter, we set some standards for how we were giving that survey so that it can be the same across the board. Our next step is to focus on our targeted learning goal and how the Culture and Climate Committee can support that goal and celebrate the achievements and growth within that focus. And again, our team members are on the bottom of this slide as well.
I'm back. I'm also the AVID co-site coordinator along with Kristen Macklin. So our family and community engagement, AVID is one of the avenues that we have for our family and community engagement. And so AVID, I was assuming like, AVID would be something I need to explain, but you guys don't need me to explain that. So our site team has been working on a collective why for our team to really drive what we're doing and to be all on the same page. So our collective why that we're on a rough draft of is that AVID provides a framework for building culture that promotes self-efficacy, organizational skills, goal setting, and rigor. As a community, Bottom Field students are accountable and advocates for their own education in order to prepare them to be productive global citizens. We are really working on providing AVID professional learning modules to our site team so that those members can then be model spaces for other staff members to come in and see what high yield AVID strategies really look like in practice. And so we're providing that professional development to them. We also are really working on our AVID Family Night. It was a huge success. It continues to be a huge success in May. And so our next steps for AVID is to build the professional learning modules for the site team to continue to expand our capacity. We're going to also use our site team meetings to dig deeper into the trainings and to ensure all of those members are model AVID teachers. I think that's it.
Before I say thank you, any questions? Dr. Taylor gives us the eye.
Any questions? I just have one. Thank you for recognizing the adultification of our Black students and how it is happening across the nation. And I also appreciate you including the TAs in your AVID training, because you can, especially our TAs, they are a lot hands-on with our students, that they can either infantilize or they can do adultification. And somewhere in the middle is just making the child whole and learning those tools. So thank you for growing that beyond to all the staff. It's going to have a huge impact, because how does it translate back to the classroom is always my question. You know, when you do professional development, how does it translate meaningfully back into the classroom? And it sounds like you're doing that. Thank you. Heather?
Thank you all so very much. If you have a photograph of Sheila on a scooter, it feels like there should be a video, and
We
I've
do
not
have
seen
video.
that. I just feel like it's the kind of thing you might want to send us.
Okay.
Hey, now.
She has
If
the
you
video,
do, send me speaking also to the students about the importance of AVID and self-control and why we're at school and belonging.
And the thing is, she didn't even know that we were going to ask her to ride the scooter until she got there. She had on a dress, and she's like, you know what? Yep, I'll do it. So our kids loved it.
Awesome. Any other questions? Elizabeth?
All right, so I'm going to start off by saying, I'm going to start with a statement, and then I'm going to ask my question, and so that you can prepare, it's the exact same question that I asked Central. My kids go to Bottenfield. We all know that by now. And my oldest is in 5th grade. And since my oldest started at Bottenfield, you are the 3rd principal. I have watched and experienced and felt at a very personal level this shift at Bottenfield. And I want to acknowledge how hard it is to change a culture, to change a school. And I also know that's personally, not me, but for you all, very, very hard. So I want to thank you, and I deeply appreciate what you have done and what you have sacrificed. Yeah, thank you. You all love your students, and you're very child-centric, so thank you.
And I put in a shameless plug and say, Ms. Bonham was the first principal I hired when I got here.
You made an excellent choice.
And I will tell you, Elizabeth, I hated her leaving Centennial. I was so worried, but you're perfect.
Yeah. Yes. And so with that, my question, for anybody who wants to answer it, what has been a striking lesson, something humbling, something big, something funny that you have learned in this change?
So for me, I always knew with my career I would end up back in elementary school. I didn't know where. I taught 4th grade, then I left and went to Centennial. I was there for 7 years. So for me, it's humbling to be back with small children. Even when I was at Centennial, I told everybody, kids are kids. Some big, some small, they're all kids. So for me, it's just the joy of being back and having a wonderful team and a wonderful staff that I truly appreciate. My first couple months as a principal, I had surgery, and the staff I didn't have to worry about anything. You know, being a new principal, I was able to stay home and recover like I needed to without having to worry about anything at Bottenfield. So.
I can say, having been at Bottenfield as AP, under 2 other principals, and then having just Kendra Bonham, I can say I felt the culture shift. I was out last year for medical, came back, and it was just a different place. And so I know that if I felt it, I knew the babies were going to feel it. And one of the biggest pieces for me is having leadership And honestly, having a progressive board, having a superintendent that will ride a scooter, just all these different pieces, it really speaks that Champaign is going in a new direction. I will say it, and I'll be unapologetic about it. But I mean, those are those different pieces, and it's just important for us to acknowledge those. And I love what I do again. So, all right.
All right, Dr. Taylor. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Now, wait. How can we best support you?
Continue to do what you all are doing. I'm not one to ask for help. There's been times that Dr. Taylor noticed we were struggling, and she came over on a Friday. She was like, "What are y'all doing?" Because we kept trying to get in the document. We meet once a month with her, but we meet whenever we feel the need, and it happened to be a Friday afternoon. So just keep doing what you all do.
Same for you all.
And we'll bring you a Coke. I know that's your drink. Joe's got coffee. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You know what? I'm gonna do this. I appreciate you all. So you get a standing ovation from me. So thank you all.
We'll join her.
Yeah, we did.
Item 6, that moves us into our action agenda, new business. Up first is item A, the approval of the bid for the Jefferson Middle School fire alarm replacement. Turn this over to you, Ms. Stegmeyer.
Thank you. Good evening. In April of this previous year, April 2022, we presented a list of proposed projects for capital and maintenance improvements throughout the district. In September, the September 26th board meeting of this past year, we brought forward a fee proposal from GHR Engineering for the design and field observation associated with the fire alarm upgrade project at Jefferson Middle School. That was approved. GHR moved into design. The design was complete in December. We went out to bid. On January 12th, we took bids. The project includes the upgrade of the complete fire alarm system, so the main panel, the annunciator panels, all the devices throughout the school, visual, and audible, and it brings it fully compliant with current codes. We also are upgrading the system in the portables, just because we do not know the timeline for the removal of the portables. So on January 12th, we received 3 bids from 3 different electrical contractors. The low bid was from Remco Electrical Corporation for $192,790, and we are seeking approval on that bid tonight. If approved, the work will begin in May, immediately when the school year ends. We are going to start with the installation of the new system, just because we're concerned about lead times. We think we'll be fine, and we are ready to issue the purchase order tomorrow if approved. But just in case there's any problem with lead times, because we all know things are volatile in the shipping market, we are going to put in the new system first, leave the old system in place until the new one's brought online, and then take down the old system. So if approved, we'll start in May on installation of the new, and we'll be done before school begins in August.
Thank you, Ms. Stegmeyer. This is an action item. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Sideropoulos Shannon. Any questions? Okay. The recommendation is to approve the contract with Remco Electrical Corporation valued at $192,790 for the fire alarm replacement at Jefferson. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel? Yes. Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Elizabeth. This will move us to item B, which is updates to student assignment process, and I will turn this over to you, Dr. Boozer.
Thank you. I'm going to ask that the board bear with me for a little bit because there's a lot to this, and there have been several comments, emails, questions, and I'm going to do my best to address some of those in my recommendation. So just please bear with me. I had to write my thoughts down. While we understand that individual students, families, and staff members may experience challenges because of the elimination of balanced calendar and the middle school feeders, my job is to look at the systems as a whole, to ensure it functions well. In every scenario, the elimination of the balanced calendar was presented. The honest truth is, having two different calendars hurts us as a system. I believe moving to one calendar will make it easier for us to do the work we need to do, from getting students to and from school on time, ensuring that they are fed, ensuring we have qualified staff members in all our positions, ensuring our teachers and staff get the professional development they need and deserve, and of course, improving academic outcomes for each of our students. You heard tonight 2 of our schools, and even the last board meeting, they talked about the professional development and the move in the direction we need to go and to focus on academic outcomes for all of our students. So it's happening, but it's at the beginning. 2 student calendars also means we have 2 different work calendars for our staff. This creates many challenges for our district. 1, different calendars make it almost impossible to share staff between buildings. This reduces programming and services for students on both calendars. Traveling staff are even more critical now than ever before, given the teacher shortage. Recent examples with our bands and string, we have some issues there. PE, our SPED services, our psych and social workers, SLPs, OT, PTs, so we're having some struggles there. Number 2, different calendars reduce efficiency in district transportation services. There is less flexibility to assign staff where most needed. This increases route times for everyone, especially when we are already short-staffed. Additionally, there is less time between the end of the one school year and the start of another to develop efficient routes when we have balanced calendars starting in July. Number 3, new teachers on the balanced calendar are unable to participate in the district's full new teacher academy without missing valuable instructional time. This makes their transition to the district more difficult, and we know from data that trying to keep our teachers in the year 1 through 5, if we miss that important time with professional development and support, we lose them. So that's crucial. Number 4, balanced calendar teachers do not have access to the same professional development opportunities as regular calendar teachers and often miss out on nationally recognized presenters that we have in August. So trying to figure out a way to get that to them is not the same as being present and with the rest of their colleagues. Number 5, balanced calendar teachers are often unable to participate in efforts to better align things across the district and are unable to share their expertise with others since lots of cross-building planning and collaboration is done during the regular calendar downtimes when balanced calendar is still in session. 6, when staff members switch between calendars, sometimes involuntarily based on student need, it changes their pay schedule. We have to have ways to mitigate this in place for the occasional switch, but it can create hardship for staff if switches between calendars are more frequent. 7, there is less time to recruit and staff a balanced calendar building than a regular calendar building. 8, there are basically 2 processes and timelines for everything: teacher evaluations, professional development, payroll, creating lots of operational inefficiencies. And so most of the things above indirectly have a negative impact on our students, but there are also direct negative impacts on students with 2 calendars. Multiple calendars create additional transitions for students. Adjustments to a new calendar is more difficult after 6 years on a different calendar, especially for some of our students who most need consistent routines. And historically, balanced calendar students have had less access to the district's summer programming, and we're trying to address that, both enrichment and extra support. The elimination of the balanced calendar will actually give us an opportunity to extend and expand summer programs access throughout the entire month of July. The board has understood that middle school capacity has been something we need to focus on for many years. It has been a big topic during the referendum, as it became clear that the way students were assigned in our elementary schools wasn't going to shift in any dramatic, dynamic way. It also became clear that we were going to have to look at different ways to balance our middle schools. Pre-K-8 expansion and a few feeder adjustments were the product of feedback we received throughout the process. Like balanced calendar, we recognize that the slight changes to feeder patterns will inconvenience some students, some families, and some staff. But again, our job is to ensure the system as a whole functions as best it can. We know where our bubble classrooms are. We also know where our smallest schools are. We know where we are underutilizing spaces. We also know where we are maxed out. We know where we have lots of portables, and we cannot put any more portables at Jefferson. With all the expense and logistical challenges that having portables bring, we know all of that. So it is difficult to explain all the inner workings of our district to people who do not have all the details like we do. There will be no decision we can make where everyone will get exactly what they prefer. We realize and accept that. Please know, however, that we are really doing what we think is best for our diverse community as a whole. School of choice was here when I arrived. I admit, I didn't get it at first. I didn't understand it. It took a lot for me to understand what it's all about. But I truly get and understand the why now. We had Dr. Amos Lee come and speak to that for us. So therefore, I must honor the reason as well acknowledge our past indiscretions as an educational system, especially concerning our Black students and our Black families, in order to help improve our future. I must admit, this has all been extremely enlightening for me, as well as for others. And I'm also have to admit that I'm thankful to have a community that was galvanized to come together to take a look at what we have to do. But keep in mind, we're only trying to make sure all of our students are learning at high levels. And I have found that our community puts more emphasis on being poor and being Black as barriers as to why our schools are underperforming entities. Yes, we do have poor students, and yes, we do have Black students, but that does not mean we cannot help them achieve at high levels. It's being done in other places, in other school districts, and we can do it as well. We spend too much time, in my professional opinion, as a school system defending our decisions and not enough time on pedagogy and solid Tier 1 instruction. It is time for all of us as a system and a community to move away from labeling and deficit thinking. It is time to focus on the work of teaching and learning. The only barrier, in my professional opinion, are the lack of opportunities and low expectations. We need a strong college and career focus for all of our students. We need to focus on embracing creativity, innovation, rigor, and high standards while incorporating civic engagement and democratic principles. The question keeps coming to me and to the board, and I'm sure you get the same question: why now? Why can't we just phase this in? Well, the famous quote, "If not us, who? If not now, when?" is meant to inspire people to take action now and to not wait for someone else to step up. The time is now. It implies that being a bystander makes you, us, all of us, a part of a problem we're observing and frequently used in calls to action against social injustice. So, with that being said, we do have working task force ready to do this work. This folder here is filled, and we can spend all night, if you like, going through all the things and the ideas and the plans, but I don't think we want to do that tonight. But anyway, I just want you to know, my team is ready to tackle transportation, the school stop and start times, PK programming, the PK-8 school models, the middle school schedules, curriculum models, programming needs, and a plethora of other changes that we need to make. A full plan will be forthcoming once we get the teams ready, where they're consistently working. The teams are ready to go. And the teams will consist of teachers, community members, MTD, parents, administrators. And so with all that being said, I am recommending, I told y'all to bear with me tonight, but there's a lot to be said. I am recommending the approval of scenario 4. So, with the 2 middle school feeder modifications recommended by Cooperative Strategies at the January 9th board meeting, effective the 23-24 school year, key components of that modified scenario presented by Cooperative Strategies consist of continue to use proximity and socioeconomic diversity during the student assignment process to reinforce existing policy, set aside 5 to 15% or more seats at all schools for late registration and extend kindergarten registration to June or July, the removal of balanced calendar and the addition of a fall break to the calendar for all schools, no wait list. Transfer eligibility will be based on board policy. Families of students who qualify for district transportation have the option for providing their own transportation. Families who choose to do so will be reimbursed mileage by the district. And yes, we did vet this, and yes, it can be done. All Bonneville students will be required to attend Kenwood and Jefferson effective the 23-24 school year. Existing students can stay in their current schools if families provide transportation. Garden Hills and IPA become pre-K-8 attendance centers. And we know with that, there's some programmatic and some geographical things that will have to happen, but we're okay with that. And adjust the middle school feeder patterns to address building capacity. So with that being said, that's my recommendation, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Ms. Armstrong.
Thank you, Dr. Boozer. This is an action item, so I will take a motion.
Second.
Sutter Bliss Shannon. Questions? Who wants to go first? Mr. Kleppel?
I don't have a question so much as a comment. Dr. Boozer, I appreciate you kind of summing it all up. There was a lot in there, little pieces that I thought I would touch on, but you hit a lot of them, so thank you for that.
Elizabeth?
And I have asked all of my questions. I have read every single email that's come to us and listened and taken copious notes during public comment. I don't have any questions, but I want to make very clear that we have had many opportunities to ask questions, as has the community. It's not something we've taken lightly at all. So yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? I do agree that there has been lots of feedback and information, and we've read it. I didn't mind the 4-letter words people used. I did mind the themes that you picked up on in certain areas that were disturbing and some that were actually inspiring. So I'm grateful to the community. I've been really grateful to our staff, our teachers and administrators that gave feedback. Once they heard the middle school feeder, it was a lot of thank yous. I didn't realize the impact that decision would have on the staff and the people working in these buildings. The one thing that could be helpful as you move forward into your task force is we did this work in 2015 and 16. We created a Tier 1 prior to that, which was all staff and administration that created what every need in the district was. And this is long before you, but I know that historically lives in the district. And it would be interesting to see that list and compare and contrast it to what you and the staff and the task force see, to compare and see where we've come from, and from 2014 or 15 and 16. And Tier 2 was created out of that as well, and it morphed into what is now known as the Referendum Oversight Committee, that had the working knowledge. And I was telling Mr. Kleppel at one point, I remember the meeting, we had them all here, they were public meetings, the community was welcomed, was when one of the citizens who had been convinced that we were doing something wrong and that it was the high schools, he had this epiphany on his face in the middle of this meeting and said, oh my gosh, it's the middle schools. And the administrators around us were like, yes, we've been telling you this. So that collaborative process had the Village of Savoy, the City of Champaign, MTD, you had the Chamber of Commerce and the Black Chamber of Commerce. You had at-large community members. There was representation at that table that would have a continuous conversation around the needs of the district. And I could see value in that being a standing committee to always, where your voice is heard, to say we need, where our teachers and our staff have the space to say we need, and vet those conversations there. And they should still be meeting with finance. Linda runs a finance meeting every month with community volunteers on it, and it is impressive how it lays out our budget and explains in great detail what we are doing and how we are doing it. There's also the Discipline Advisory Committee that's meeting on Wednesday this week. It's also a space, these are all public meetings where we all can learn more and more about our district. And I could see that being a great place for voice of understanding how the district works. If that is something you see as, I could see it. I think it worked well when we did it, to have that committee active. And now that Rock is finishing up those projects, you could still bring that institutional knowledge and harness it.
And I just want to add to that, that is an excellent avenue to collect information and hear voices. But beyond that, I want to seek going into communities for people who are not going to come in to be a part of that, because that's where a lot of the voices can be heard as well. And I want to give space to those voices as well. And not sit, it doesn't always have to be so formal. And so we want to make sure that we can do that. So it's an and.
And you've done that, right?
Yes.
You pushed out into the community, even though there were targeted, there were specific groups, you targeted groups that are not heard from.
I've had some one-on-ones with people who know this work historically. I had some conversations with groups of people who've known this work historically. So being new and coming into this is very difficult. So it's always good to do your homework and to find out where we came from before we start moving forward, because I will never disrespect the work of those who came before me. But I do also understand why some people didn't touch this.
Well,
just saying.
I would say they wouldn't touch it. You also had, prior to us, there were
it's hard.
There were over 27 different board members through a span of years here. So having board consistency we tackled it. That was actually, somebody said to me, I was passing in one of my groups, and out of the blue, and it was not related to schools, said, hey, thank you all, thank that whole board for talking about things people have wanted to avoid. And I was a little surprised that the compliment came. I wasn't sure it was a compliment at first, but it was very much, thank you for tackling the hard work. So you have done that, and you've brought faces and spaces and family voices back that we've been missing.
And I just got to say, I have a team. I'm thankful for my team that works with me every day, that I can go to them and say, hey, give me what's the historical knowledge here? What's going on here? And empowering them to not to be afraid to do the hard work, because we can all just keep sitting here going, oh, isn't it a pitiful shame, and not do anything? The time is now. Why keep looking and waiting when we cannot undo what has been done, but we can definitely move forward and do a lot better. So I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for this opportunity. So I just want to look around the room and say thank you.
And your task force will bring back, I assume this isn't the end of the conversation back to the board. The task force will probably need us to continue voting for pieces that come forward.
Yeah, and I do know I got one of my principals who is chomping at the bit. He's like, come on, come on. And I was like, well, we got to wait to the vote and see where we land. But I'm excited about this work because you always want to make sure you bring in the voices of those boots on the ground doing the work. So the teachers and the administrators and the families and everyone who needs to do this work and the community members. And so we're ready. And yes, definitely step by step, we'll be bringing different things back. There'll be some things that are policy, so I'll have to have my team go back and look at some policy. But there are also these things that are just administrative procedures that doesn't require the board. It just requires us to, let's move, let's get this work done.
And you'll bring back a financial forecast with
Yes.
those pieces.
Yeah, and I can honestly say the financial forecast right now, the budget impact really may have to do with a little bit of capital outlay, perhaps, so maybe a few new hires for pre-K, because what we're really looking at is just reallocating some of our staff and our resources that we already have, and looking at the building budgets that our buildings already have, looking at that, some curriculum realignment, which we're already doing. And if you stop and think about it, it's really going right back to, and I walk around with this all the time, and you can see it's all messed up, but I use it because it's what drew me here. But everything we're trying to accomplish aligns to priority number 2, educational access, priority 4, organizational alignment, priority 5, strategic resource allocation, which all will go right back to priority 1, instructional excellence. So all this really connects.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Chris?
Couple things. It's a personal vote for it. I mean, I don't think all of us sit up here without any skin in the game. Some of us have kids at a younger level. I know this vote affects my family, and I've spent 5 years at Edison and help coach, help cheer on, and countless teachers and stuff that I'm close to and friends with, and Angie and her team over there, and I'm going to be sad to see it go. Now, I'm a little younger. I've got a first grader at Carrie Busey, and things will change at Edison, and who knows how many of those people will still be there when that time rolls around. But I'm also, for personal reasons, and speaking just to the move of going to Franklin and Sarah's team over there, Dave Mast, Joe Piquel, it's down on the line. My sister-in-law taught there for 9 years, and it's Unit 4, and that gives me comfort. Would I like all 3 of my daughters to be Edison Commons? That would be nice. I actually have I give my 2 older kids a hard time because they always wear their aunt's sweatshirts that have the Franklin volleyball. I'm like, you play Edison volleyball. You can't wear that shirt. And now Maverick can wear it and be appropriate. But if that's something that you're worried about, think about why you send your kid to public education in Unit 4, and be at peace that even if you are making a move across town, and I MapQuested it one morning during when I would be taking my child to school. It was like a 4-minute difference. I mean, it is further away, yes, from Carrie Busey, but it's maybe closer to someone who lives in Garden Hills who doesn't have to go quite as far coming the other direction. And so if that's something you worry about, please be at peace. I know there's families that have thought about, I'm going to Edison next year, and now there is this change. And Dr. Boozer, you said it. We're not going to please everybody, and that's hard. There's so many, every reason why you want to stay where, not every reason. Most people's reasons for why they want to stay there are justifiable. I can understand, I can relate to, and I understand that change is difficult. Any change is going to be difficult, and we hear you. We read through every single email. Every story, we follow Facebook threads and Instagram threads and stuff like that, some more than others, but we hear you, we see you, and we're trying to make a decision for 10,000 plus students and countless numbers of people involved with the families in the community. And so it doesn't come lightly. It's not just okay, this is here, but it's kind of it's a connection of everything. So why are we talking about middle schools when this started out as a school of choice, whether we're going to do away with that? Well, when we decided that we weren't going to do with school of choice, that still, if we had gone dramatically and moved 80% of our students around and really evened out things, then we wouldn't have to do a middle school. So this is kind of a consequence of that. Not that that's a bad or a good thing. 2 years ago, when we didn't move Garden Hills and IPA, the programs, not the schools, not the students, moving the programs, taking IPA, building the K-8 there, the consequence was we have been amazingly fiscally responsible. Linda's helped us do that. Tommy before you, there was an opportunity, and we built a brand new IPA, and we're able to have a K-8, now pre-K-8 instruction there. But that was a consequence of not moving there. And now a positive consequence, we're able, Garden Hills, guess what, is still able to hold K-8 capacity school. And so we're able to do that. And we're moving these issues. 7 years ago, we were talking about overcapacity at the middle school issue, $300 million worth of need. We cut the middle school capacity issue. Tonight, we're going to take another big step in addressing that change, that move. We're going to positively impact this entire community. And it's hard. And some families are going, I'm a small part, others much more so, are going to bear the burden of that a little bit more than others. And I'm sorry, and I hear you, and I understand you, and I feel your pain, I feel your anguish. But please stick with it. And I thought about saying this, and I'll say it. If you had to go back, and would you pick a different middle school, a different elementary school to go to the different, like, would you do it all over again? Or would you stay at that elementary school, though, spend those 6 years walking close to home and knowing that, yes, when you hit middle school, you would have to go? Like, if presented with that now, what would you do? And take peace in that, maybe. And so all that to say, it's a culmination of, for me, 7 years of conversations. And I know it seems like it comes to a final here tonight, and it doesn't really. It just continues on. But we hear you, we see you, we know the anguish, we see how this is affecting you. But it's going to positively affect our community and our students even greater. So thank you.
Thanks, Chris. It's 8 years, so I don't know how to break this to you. Heather? Yeah.
So I guess I do have a question, Sheila. It's about, Dr. Boozer, forgive me. I'm a Barksdall family, be assured. I adored Balanced Calendar. My family loved it, and this was a big adjustment for me too. When they brought it to me, I'm looking at Peter, and he had to walk me through every sentence the first time we heard this because I was shook. So I guess my question is, knowing that you could be enrolled at Barksdall or Kenwood right now, and this is a big adjustment, are we thinking about how we'll accommodate, say, a family that's made a plan next October? Are we thinking about how, not necessarily giving anybody an exemption for the traditional fall break, but if somebody's family has good demonstration that plans are in place for an October something, I don't know what that could be. I want to know if we're thinking about that, because I was reminded earlier this week that if this had been us, my family in third grade, we had a trip planned in October now because we were people who had to pay for a trip in October in January. So for this 1 year, do we imagine finding ways to work with these families, if possible, not accommodating a 3-week break? Make no mistake about it, I'm not asking that. But if there was something we could do, are we trying to address those families? Because if this had been my child's third grade, he's a freshman in college, Unit 4, go Unit 4. If this had been my son's third grade year, we would have been like, oh, this is a big change, and we've got plans. So tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I forgot to mention is I have been a balanced calendar administrator, so I totally get that in my previous life. But yes, we have had this conversation, and we're not going to say, oh my God, no, we're not going to accommodate. There's always something that we possibly could do. Mhm. You're welcome.
We will give an opportunity before vote for public comment on this topic, should you want to weigh in. There are cards back on the counter. This is not, the board will continue a board conversation and question once we hear from the community. I do have some cards in front of me. If you don't want to talk at this point, you want to wait till later, you can. You're welcome to give the card to Elizabeth. She'll pass it down to me. There'll be a clock up on the screen. It'll have 3 minutes on it. Back on the counter. There should be pens back there. Thank you. This is limited to 3 minutes, and when we are addressing the board, we ask that you respect the confidentiality and safety of our students and district personnel. The comment represents the voice and the opinion of the speaker, and the microphone turns off at the end of the 3 minutes as well. There will be no feedback from board members during public comment. That is standard. This is our meeting in public. It's not, it's the opportunity for us to hear from the community. So up first, I had Colleen Linhart. Thank you.
First, I do just want to say thank you for delaying your vote. This consulting process hasn't been the greatest, and more changes were made at the 11th hour without any data to show us. Despite Cooperative Strategies receiving initial feedback for a non-disruptive, phased-in choice model for fall 2023 kindergartners, no such scenario was ever presented. Bubble of Westview students and no more space for portable classrooms at Jefferson's are reasons given for switching to Edison. But the district dashboard shows that between last year and the current, Westview enrollment only increased by 1 student. So if there is really a huge influx coming that Jefferson can't take, shouldn't the school choice algorithm be factoring in middle school feeder capacity? And shouldn't we have plans on the table to renovate Jefferson past its power and fire alarms? Reviewing schedules and adopting one calendar might alleviate some of Unit 4's transportation issues, but how many more will arise? Adding pre-K, another K through 8, and swapping feeders will require more busing. And after hearing that the district has paid the public library to watch Edison students after school since 2019, I would hope you're also trying to figure out how to add transportation for every middle school to ensure equitable access to this amazing resource. Jefferson is 1.9 miles from Southside, while Edison is only 0.6. Southside is the second highest proximity attendance elementary at 43%, with many Edison and Southside students walking to and from school. Has anyone calculated into the budget how many more students will become eligible for busing or financial reimbursement from these swaps? An MTD rep confirmed that the public is allowed on every bus with kids. There are no unaccompanied minor safety procedures. And if an 11-year-old sixth grader is not ready to navigate public transit and transfers by themselves, they strongly recommend against riding MTD. I couldn't find anything on the ISBE website about providing a busing option only for students who are developmentally ready, but I did find their recommendation for reviewing bus routes that pose safety risks. My Champaign address has no MTD school route. If my son were to go to Edison, he could ride the express green bus to State and Springfield with about 6 minutes to spare. If he was switched to Jefferson, the only bus route available is taking the orange bus to Round Barn Road, waiting there for a blue bus, and then getting dropped off at Jefferson at 7:05 a.m. when school doesn't start until 7:50. If something were to happen to him while waiting for his transfer or standing outside of school 45 minutes early, where would that liability lie? The first scenario is a suggestion, this final scenario is a suggestion for the district, and you can choose what will work, but finding out what will work requires gathering necessary information. It is irresponsible to decide first and then figure out all the logistical, financial, and legal consequences of your decision afterward.
So if you vote yes on adopting this entire scenario tonight, I hope you can confidently say that you did so with all the information and data you needed to make an informed decision. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Up next, I have Liliana Franco. Did I say that right? Okay, good.
Go ahead, kiddo. You're very shy. Yeah, you can do it, kiddo.
I want to stay at my school because it's really fun. I really like it and all the teachers are nice. And it's really cool, like, to stay at my school because then I get to learn where I want to.
Are you good? Are you good?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I have Jan Nickum.
I think I've seen those 27 board members and a whole lot more over the years. In 2005, we had a thing in the county called the 2020 Vision Committee, and the subcommittee I was on was dealing with growth in schools in the metro area. And the Champaign planners, who are still there, wanted to build to the west and wanted to build to the north. And I said, hey, you got to lay streets and sidewalks and sewers and provide police and fire protection and build schools. Well, that was in 2005. Here we are in 2023, and we have no elementary schools west of I-57. We have no elementary schools north of Interstate 74. And I sat through the Tier 2 meetings, and I remember the dream of $300 million, and we're darn close to the $300 million, even though we cut back to a much more manageable $183 million plus the $25 million in reserves that were thrown in. But I do remember almost every morning working with Mr. Greg Novak, a former board member, and Mr. Novak, he had a dream for Central to make it a K-8 building, and he used the other half of Central to replace this building's needs for an administrative wing. And of course, we know Greg's not with us anymore, but he's probably smiling in his grave knowing at least the K-8 thing is still alive. And speaking of K-8, last week, 2 weeks ago, Asia Fuller was here and she talked about her athletic team at Garden Hills. And I was just wondering, I know that whenever IPA was created with the K-8, pre-K-8, which it will be now apparently, that there was discussion about what about interscholastic athletics. And with Asia Fuller's presentation last week, you know, she's talking about all these kids that are really getting a lot of enjoyment out of basketball, but I haven't heard anything at any of these meetings about what's going to happen to them when they're in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Are we going to have 5 interscholastic basketball programs in Champaign Unit 4? Are we going to have 3? And kids have to be shipped around to the other schools, which technically are really junior high schools because they're departmentalized. They haven't been middle schools since Mr. Thomas and I worked together. But I think that that's something that really needs to be addressed because there probably are a lot of parents that are saying, hey, you know, if my kid goes to this pre-K-8 building, do they have any opportunities to participate in whether it's athletics, whether it's band, music, whatever? Because there are an awful lot of expenses and staffing issues and transportation and officials and all the things that go with that. So a lot to think about there. And finally, the calendar issue tonight. Mr. Kleppel, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, talked about his wife's concern about scheduling their vacation for, I think, October, her time off in October. And it's already been mentioned today, but there are people that probably have plans August 10th through 15th.
Thank you, Mr. Nickum. Tony Bruno.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to speak before the vote tonight. I'm just going to limit my comments to the process. I appreciate what Board Member Kleppel shared about having to crack some eggs to make an omelet, and I generally believe in doing that. But what concerns me is when the public hears from the superintendent that it's another great day in Unit 4, but it's not as directly articulated that it's also a day we're going to break a pretty fundamental promise we made. And that is as to the middle school feeder system. This document here, for those watching at home who may not have noticed, is the slideshow that goes along with the registration guidebook when you're picking an elementary school for your child. And it says, think about middle schools now. The middle school a child attends is based on the elementary school they attend in 5th grade. If you have a specific middle school you would like your child to attend, please consider the elementary feeder pattern now. I think a lot of people take that seriously. And the first time that the public learned that 1/3 of the middle schools, of the elementary schools would be fed to a new, different middle school was 14 days ago from a consultant in Ohio appearing over a Zoom video. And this moment is the first and apparently last time the public will have an opportunity to address the board. Mr. Kleppel, who I think approaches this very seriously and with the best of intentions, as I think all of you do, articulated that we hear you. I appreciate that. But it was 14 days ago that this idea was presented to the public. And these comments over the next 10 or 15 minutes appear to be the total extent of feedback the Board of Education will take in before making this decision to take 1/3 of Unit 4 elementary students and change where they're going to go to middle school. After telling every family in the district, think about it now when you sign your kid up for elementary school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. I have Leanne Kelly.
Good evening. First, I'm here to thank each of you for your unpaid service to this community. I've been in this boardroom for 30 years now, and I'm just really pleased that we've had consistency and that you guys, even though I know you don't agree on a lot of stuff, have worked hard to work together. I also know that I doubt you expected to give up 20 hours a week to this unpaid job. And nor did you anticipate vitriol that you have often experienced. I can't say it hasn't happened before. There's a couple other people in this room that have been around as long as me, and we have experienced some pretty interesting meetings, yeah. But I just wanted you to know how much I do appreciate you sacrificing your time and your energy to ensure all our children can reach their potential. I personally am pleased with the K-8 decision for Garden Hills and IPA, providing increased stability for these students and also increasing pre-K access are both evidence-proved strategies. So I think these will go a long way towards helping some of our underserved populations. At the same time, I encourage you to remember, maybe increase, the resources and outreach of the LIFT program and other projects for all those students who were not going to be in these K-8 schools. and have an equal need for stability and trauma-informed wraparound services. Second to that, I also recognize the whole middle school sports concern, which came up back in 1998 and 99 with the balanced calendar. So I just thought, as I've been sitting here and listening, we've been through a lot in the 30 years I've lived in this town. And as much as we've had broken promises in the last 2 weeks, and I appreciate the frustration of many of the people, what I've watched is broken promises for 30 years for the underserved families in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Nashara Williams.
Thanks for being here, you guys. We appreciate you as a school board. I have had my kids in the school district for 20 plus years. I now have one grandchild in the school district as well. And I just wanted to say, I'm not sure where you got your data from about the year-round schools, but my kids have been stellar being in the year-round schools. Their grades, they were always in the scholar type programs and things like that. And I think it's very beneficial, and all the data I've read shows that kids excel in that. So I'm not sure where you got that data from. And it kind of hurts me to know that you're going to take that out of the school district. So I would hope that you would reconsider that. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Another thing that I wanted to express concern about is the busing system. I had my kids on the busing system. I eventually became a driving parent. And my nephews are in Bonneville. And it concerns me that, number one, that they would have to choose which school, or that they would have to go to only 2 certain schools for a choice, or else my sister would have to pay for them to drive. When listening to the per diem, it doesn't sound very reasonable to me. And so I would hope that you would have more concern about Bonneville and other families that are further out. They should have the right to choose what schools they want to go to as well. Another concern that I have in listening to Central, that great team that was up here, they had spoken about how they were so concerned about the freshman class, and I thought that their team was excellent and phenomenal. I wanted to know how the school district is preparing to help students who came in during the 2020 year and the 2021 year, who are sophomores and juniors, who may not have gotten that. I have a student right now who struggles very much in school. She's an A+ student, came out of the year-round school, and now being in this, having come from being online, she's really struggling. So I would hope that you guys would implement more programs like that for those students. And also to consider the fact that we had the Common Core years ago. We had meetings about that said there was already a huge 2-year gap. And now we've added this greater gap for those students because of the online. So I just want to state that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Williams. Card for Carmen Sims.
Hello, thank you everyone for being here. I'm gonna get a little upset here because in these whole discussions, Bonneville was never really on the chopping block until December. Like that was like in sometime in November, like it just came out of nowhere, and there's been no explanation as to what Bonneville students not having a choice and only being allowed to go to 2 different schools, not only do they lose their choice, but our kids that are currently in school have to get pulled from their schools, their elementary schools, and our middle schoolers who are in school have to get pulled from their middle schools. those kids out there need those buses. Their parents can't transport them. The amount of reimbursement's not enough. A lot of them are single parents. That means they'd have to quit their jobs, relocate, and I don't think it's fair that everyone in this district gets a choice of 3 elementary schools out of 12. We get 1. Everybody else gets now 4 middle schools to choose from when choosing their elementary school, okay? Bonneville's not that far. You have kids that are coming all the way off of Leverett Road, Hensley Township, and Airport Road in Savoy, which some of those are greater distances from Bonneville. But they're not getting the option of, oh, you guys can only choose 2 schools. You know, there's a lot of rigor, and this is why we have to get rid of balanced calendar, right? It's because of administration. It's a logistical nightmare with training and all this, right? We get all these reasons for start times. We get all these reasons for why we need a K through 8 because the middle schools are overcrowded and this, that, and the other. We've gotten reasons for everything in this scenario except for why Bonneville students have been limited to Kenwood and Jefferson. It's not that much of a greater distance to get them to IPA, for example, or to Robeson or somewhere else. In your sister school model, you had us all the way at Garden Hills. It's not that much of a difference. And I hate to tell you guys, but we have a lot of kids in our neighborhoods that have RTI plans, and if you rip them out of the schools that they're in where they become comfortable and accustomed to people with some of the emotional problems that they have, it is gonna be a problem, a legal problem. Now, I don't know why out of every single board meeting I've watched since the installation of this, the first person who mentioned in comments or questions about Bonneville was my sister and now me. And that just goes to show the marketing tactics that were used by this board and cooperative strategies to keep it out of people's eyes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sims. I have Rebecca Lightshoe.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Also, just, I'm not gonna, I had some notes written down, and honestly, a bunch of people said them more eloquently and probably more efficiently than I will. So I'm just gonna throw a couple other things out. I had very limited experience as being a teacher. I taught middle school math in New Orleans in the public schools, and in my second week of my second year of teaching, Katrina rolled through, and as you all know, everything changed for a lot of people as a result of that. But I love Champaign. I love I love our program. I love the school district. I am thankful that my kids have the opportunity to be in this school district. I'm thankful. I tell my friends, I tell my coworkers about the great things that are happening in Champaign, and that's because of the teachers, the principals, administration, because of you all. Like, I love it. I'm thankful that my kids go to school every day and get to be with really the diversity of America, right? Like they are having exposure to more than just me. Life is a blessing for them, and I love what they get in this school district. I will say that the one thing, I'm getting emotional, the one thing that for me is the concern, my impetus to come, is that we talked about data, like the 2 schools that were featured earlier tonight, right? They talked about surveys, and you guys have been up to the wazoo with surveys, I get it. But I think it's disingenuous to say that these have been publicly discussed, and I'm specifically thinking about the feeder schools. So there was a question earlier, hypothetical, about would you have picked a different elementary school if you knew where your kids, for the middle school choice? We did pick a different elementary school. So when we moved to Champaign, our eldest child was placed into Westview. We loved Westview. Westview is, the Principal Swords is awesome. The staff is awesome. It was literally nothing but a positive experience. But we live a stone's throw from Southside. And in addition to the location to Southside, we live a stone's throw from Edison. So we literally, my daughter in her halfway through her first grade year, we were on a wait list, and then she was offered the opportunity to move to Southside, which was the closer school for us. But the reason why we wanted Southside was because of Edison. We loved Westview. Again, the school district, we have good schools in Champaign. So wherever you go, I have faith that you're going to have a good education, you're going to have great staff, but that is literally the reason why we changed for our daughter. My mother lived to be she moved here from out of state to be in proximity, so she could pick up. So for us, that is the reason.
Thank you so much for sharing. The last card I have, unless somebody else wants to speak, there's cards still in the back. Kyle Kirchhoff.
Well, we've been around, we've been through it, right? I stood up here on October 10th, and I think I talked about how actions and decisions are what we're held responsible for. I was just reading it back there. I said, tomorrow is a new day, and I ask you to embrace the leadership and responsibility that you signed up for. And that's still the reality. So tomorrow is a new day. I don't think anyone here in the audience is going to be shocked when you vote this through. That was decided before this meeting started or anyone got up. The fact of the matter is, you all know that 14 days for something like this, sliding in at the end, is trying to push something through. It's okay if you don't agree or if you roll your eyes or if you try to talk to somebody else who knows me instead of just emailing me, but all of you know how to get a hold of me if you would like to. All of those things aside, we're a community, right? So this is the decision. Again, I mean, maybe I'll be horribly surprised. I don't think so. It's going to go forward. So Dr. Buser, what I'm going to ask you is that you would stay and make it happen. Will you the politics, the boards, there'll be people that come and go, but you said some things pretty heartfelt there that I took some note down, and I'm sure people can go back to the video. So let's make that happen. Let's make a K through 8 actually happen. Let's do it, right? If we're going to change all these feeder schools and we have the data for it, please share it so these other parents who are confused know it. I think you said something where it's like, not everyone knows the details. And okay, it's not my job to know the details, so maybe you guys know the details, but you want the community to come together. You want the community to work with you on this. You want to see this change actually happen. Just open up a bit. But tomorrow is a new day. You're not going to see me up here again saying what's going on here or there. You're not going to see another FOIA for that. You guys have made your decision. This is the direction the town is going. So let's do it. How can I help you? But I ask you then, Dr. Buser, to stick with it and make these changes happen. I'll be back here in how many years or months or whatever it is, and I want to come back to these great things that you said that this is going to achieve, and I want that to be true. Because if it's not true, again, man, history judges us by our actions. And you guys are making a pretty big one tonight, even the times when you roll your eyes and move your face around. I appreciate the wink.
Thanks, Mr. Kirchhoff. Last card I have is Christy Arnold.
I'm Christy. I wasn't going to talk, but then I just wanted to kind of add something. I've sent emails. Many of you have seen them. Probably all of you have seen them, actually. And I just want to comment also on the process. And Dr. Buser, you commented tonight that, there's all this data to support things. And I guess I've been asking for it and really wanted to see it. Like, that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to get on board and see the data behind, especially now the middle school, kind of the last thing that was thrown out there. We just haven't seen it. You talked tonight about capacity, about this, but it would have been nice to see, like, what's the slide, what's the actual statistics going on? What are the problems that these changes are going to address? So I wish that we could have seen that. There was nothing, not one. I poured back through slides and I didn't see anything specific. I mean, there were comments about middle schools along the way, but nothing like, here's a slide. You showed us all this elementary data, but nothing on middle school. So I just, it's fine. You're going to swap, my kids are going to go to 2 different middle schools, and I'm really not that upset about that. I just want to see the data, because I also really want to know that these changes are going to make an impact. And I want to see what the problems are with the data to support those problems, and then what is making these swaps doing to solve them or attempting to solve them. And not everything is going to work, and we accept that, but I just want to see that there's a real justification there for everything. And I just haven't seen that, and I just wish that as this process moves forward, it sounds like it's going to go through tonight. And so I would also like to add that I've asked multiple times, committees, how do we get on them? Elizabeth commented a few meetings ago about the only way to be fully informed is to be in a committee and plugged in and coming to things. And I've asked where I can get plugged in, and I've asked to be on certain committees, and nothing seems to be open. So I would like to be on the task force. I sent an email to you last night, Dr. Boozer. I'd like to put my name out there now, publicly state, I want to help and I want to be part of it. And I just want to dig in and see what all is going on and how, we're going to make these changes be successful. And I don't want to rush this into existence. I want them to be impactful, and I want there to be success at the end of this, whatever that is going to look like. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arnold. That's the last card I have. Okay. That goes back to board members. Any follow-up questions for Dr. Boozer? Questions, concerns? The other thing that I was thinking was, since so many people are really interested in this topic, a call to action. For our families, our residents, our taxpayers, write to your legislators, specifically your federal legislators, because the federal government is starving the budgets of every single school district in this nation. 30% of our special education budget is missing from the federal government. It would be really helpful if, and I have it written, I wrote this legislative piece 3 years ago, and it sits in IASB's lobbying arm, but voices matter. And they are listening, and it would be helpful if every single taxpayer wrote to the federal government and asked, when will you start fully funding IDEA and fully funding our public schools? So I will put out that shameless plug for the lack of funding to our public schools. They starve the funds and then ask us what's wrong with us. I don't think there's anything wrong with us, and there's definitely nothing wrong with our children. That is not acceptable deficit language. It is definitely people that can actually impact education. Anything else? Mr. Brown?
So I know this has come up in conversations prior, but I just want to make sure before we make this vote that the task force, so we are putting what we vote on tonight is an initial plan, but if we find in our task force that services are going to go unmet in response to the comment tonight about the RTI, students with RTI services and special ed needs, I want to be assured that that will take precedent over any decision that we make, because it really is about our students. And you've intimated that, like I said, in previous conversations throughout this process, but not necessarily privy, that the public has been privy to. But I just want to assure that we're not going to put ourselves into a position where we are not abiding by the law as it relates to, in regards to our students, their IEPs, their 504 plans, and what we've agreed to do legally. Is that? Yeah.
Yes, I mean, that's definitely, that's not a issue. We will definitely make sure that we do what's best for our kids, and so if there are kids with IEPs. As a matter of fact, Mr. Thomas went through the whole process of how the school choice works based upon how you get where you need to go. And one of the first things is looking at students if they have IEPs and things of that nature. So we explain all those pieces. And so we will, part of the task force, we will have representation from our SPED department, MTSS department to make sure those things are taken care of. So not trying to do this without thinking about what's best for our kids. So, and as a matter of fact, I took some notes here. There's a couple of conversations we need to follow up on to make sure the parents who have concerns, we can talk to them and their needs are being met.
Good question. Anything else? Dr. Baker?
I think, should you want to dig in, really dig in, run for school board? I think it's not funny. I don't find it funny if you take it as, I've spent, when I sat here, I had a parent come to me, or come to us and say how many nights they've missed of their kid going to sleep. My youngest is 10. I've been on the board for almost 8 years. I've missed, since he was 2, many sleepless nights of me sitting here till midnight or so, having these conversations. They have not taken place in these last few months. Many of us sitting up here have spent much, we can't even calculate the time. These decisions we do not take lightly. My kids too are impacted by this decision. Thought he was gonna be at Edison Comet as well. I welcome a Franklin night. I welcome the opportunity to bring baseball and some other teams back, because Edison, sometimes it's hard to make a team because there's so many kids. I think of the possibilities and the opportunities, and we continue to invite you to think about that. I hope that it's worth it. I absolutely do. And I'm prepared to still lean in, to still dig in. And I hope you are too. You asked that of Dr. Boozer, I ask that of you. Lean in. Where can you help? There are lots of spaces, whether it's on a committee or not. Lean in. I think when I've talked to people in our district, oftentimes, they are willing to tell me that now all of a sudden they want the cluster scenario. Now they don't want scenario 4. Where have you been? We've been asking, I can't go in any space without people talking to me about some of the issue. We are very accessible. We are out and about. I need people to stop being quiet and to start and stop expecting the 7 of us to have these conversations and truly start coming to board meetings and being participant. This is the most that we've seen in quite a while. And I appreciate it. I think if we had done any other scenario right now, it would have felt like we were doing this to the community and not with. And I think with scenario 4, we are doing it with at least the voices that I've heard for the past 8 years. And I'm not just saying it because she's in the audience, but I remember back in grad school when I first came, I heard Imani Bizel, I heard Dr. Shamim Raka talk about the data, and I dug in and I ran for school board so that I could sit here and make a decision like this right now. If you want to dig in, truly dig in, run for school board. Run for something that allows you to spend many sleepless nights digging into the data nonstop. When we don't want to, we still have to. And I don't say that lightly, because I mean, we just got an email today of someone telling us how they expect us to table a vote. I mean, we are getting lots of emails from people who have expectations of us that they're not even willing to put in themselves. If you would like to make that decision, again, come, be a part of the school board. I don't see many names running. I can't continue to be told what to do with a decision that, for me, my vote is in the best of the public. It's not personal. I might make some other decisions if it was, but it's in public, the public that I serve. And I hope that you respect that, and I hope that tomorrow is a new day, and that we can look to the conversations that we've had and say, how can I really help our district? We know, we've heard some amazing things happen tonight. There are lots of struggles that we still have, but each of us, in many ways, have decided to dig in a little bit further. I hope you do too. And I hope you respect the vote, and I hope that you respect where each of us sit in on this. It's nothing that we take lightly. Not one thing that any of us sit here and feel like we're trying to do to you. We're trying to do it with, but this process, it has been very, very, I think, hurtful. And for many people, we've had to think about why we sit here. We have to think about, again, whom we're serving. And we come back every single time willing and ready to do it. But please, please, please come with us. Listen to us a little bit more. And don't take everything that we say in a way that you feel that it is offensive, because we really have heard you. I know that you've said that I've said about dissertation emails. I get that, and I keep getting quoted about it, and I keep getting misquoted, and people keep trying to requote me instead of just listening to my words. I've been called a onceler. Yes, I have. Just listen to me. Have a conversation with me. I have been more than willing to talk about it to people that have respected the process. But yes, this has been a very tough process and a very long time coming. I hope that, if people are truly involved and want to be involved and want to dig in, come along with us instead of continually trying to point out parts of the process that haven't worked, because a lot has.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Boozer. Your words actually carried a tremendous amount of weight, and you are right. And it's why I have appreciated your leadership through this, and the conversations have been hard. Seeing no other conversation, Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. I believe, Dr. Boozer, you have work to do. I see it stacked up there, and the task force is ready to hit the ground running.
And can I just say, one of the first things we want to do is have a conversation with my friends in Savoy with MTD, because we definitely want to make sure we do something with transportation in that area, because there's some things that we found that we want to have a conversation with. I've had conversations with Carl, and we want to move forward on that conversation to get that going. That's one of the biggest things. And also to remind every single one of our middle school families that we make sure all of our middle school kiddos have, or all of our students and staff in Unit 4 have library cards. And we also provide transportation to the library regardless if they're at Edison, they can walk across there, but we also provide transportation, MTD does as well. So we just want to say we're trying to do things, but we can't do it by ourselves. So the call to action is out there. So there's a lot of work to be done. And some of these, our task force are things that inner people will do, and then there are task force where we'll have families and community members and others who are here in the room tonight to help us do, so let the work begin. And I'm not planning on going anywhere. I want to retire here.
Not anytime soon, though. Okay. Thank you. Well, I'll be interested with following up with the library, because I know we support that initiative, but that is a City of Champaign funded, taxpayer funded piece, so we might want to be thoughtful about that conversation. Okay, thank you. And thank you to the community for coming up to speak. That will move us on to item C, which is our 2023-2024 and our 2024-2025 school calendars. Say that 4 times really fast. Dan, which I'm sure you have been.
I do, thank you. Tonight, I am prepared to present a proposal for the 23-24, 24-25 school calendars. A committee comprised of parents, teachers, support staff, principals, district administrators met on multiple occasions during the school year to develop these calendars. Using parameters established by the State Board of Education and district-specific considerations, the committee, in collaboration with district administration, CESP, and CFT, has tonight 2 calendars that they would like the board to take action on. Some of those parameters outlined by ISB requires all school districts to prepare a school calendar based upon 185 school days to ensure that at least 176 of those are pupil attendance days. What sometimes gets confusing is that in some instances, we may have days that count towards the public school calendar requirement of 176 student attendance dates without the students actually reporting for that day. So those numbers can sometimes get a little confusing. Our current proposal includes the waiver that the district recently was awarded by ISB to allow 3 full institute days. This year in our 22-23 calendar, we use those student waiver days on October 2nd, October 9th, and May 26th. So with that said, specific attention to factors to promote positive learning and work environments for students and staff, to adhere to contract language relative to the design of the school calendar. There are certain paid holidays that are required that have been bargained. How we use institute and early release days at the end of the semester are some examples of those. The placement of fall and spring holidays to ensure sensitivity to families traveling over designated holiday breaks are also variables we consider. And alignment to the district spring break with the University of Illinois is also something that we've been very consistent in, and you can find in these proposals. Some of the, I'd say the big change is that we're proposing a fall break this year. Now with the school board deciding to move forward with a school of choice proposal, the calendar committee was able to add a fall break to our calendar by changing the start of the school day to a Monday. Typically, we've had 3 institute days to start the school year, and students came on a Thursday, and so now we're going to have students start on that Monday to start the week. Starting on Monday seemed to be a common theme of the calendar committee. We'll be attending Veterans Day, and then we're adding a day at the end of the year in order to get a full week in October for a fall break that happens right between the first and second semester. Obviously, with the elimination of the balanced calendar for Kenwood and Barksdall, we heard some concerns about planned vacations. The proposed calendar would provide a fall break in October to maybe help families and staff that were accustomed to having this one. But another thing that we heard very, very consistently is that October is a tough month. We come into school, certainly coming off the pandemic, faced with many challenges, and October became, kind of a time where, staff started to struggle, students started to struggle. And so it's an opportunity for our staff, students, teachers to rest, recharge, and recuperate for a week and then start again at the start of the second semester. So I am proposing that the board consider taking action on the proposed calendars, and I'm here to take any questions that you may have.
This is an action item. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Soteropoulos Shannon. Questions? Ms. Soteropoulos?
I read an email and with this concern, and I've also heard from other people about this concern. Spring break, the 1 week off in March, a lot of people are used to that. So like, not just travel plans, but like sports and musicals and other stuff that happens around spring break. We're used to planning around spring break. But what about extracurricular activities, band, marching band? How were voices from those groups included in this decision-making, and how are we going to support those staff members and students who will experience a disruption?
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's going to be some adjustments that are going to be required. There are adjustments that, as you said, our winter sports are accustomed to making as competitions and practices have, for many years, traditionally continued over winter break and spring break. Basketball, wrestling, softball, track, baseball. And so certainly as we consider our fall sports and band activities, we're going to probably have to look at how we accommodate them. whether it's transportation or just having the school open at ideal times to be able to schedule practices strategically, having the school open maybe for band in order to, for them to be able to practice. We traditionally have transported students, so our transportation department is very accustomed to working over winter break. Our administrators are very accustomed to working over winter break and supervising. And so we're going to have to make some adjustments and make sure that we provide support as needed for those fall sports and extracurriculars that typically operate without a break in the fall.
Thanks.
That's a good question. Any other questions, Heather?
Thank you. Elizabeth asked my first question about how we were accommodating schedules sports schedules, extracurricular activities. I'm concerned, and I've mentioned this to Dr. Boozer as well, and that we're using the word fall break, fall holiday, and twice within the calendar. I wonder if we couldn't, particularly like on the September 25th fall holiday, I wonder if we wouldn't come up with different language, negotiated holiday, something that doesn't lend to confusion, that if we were to send narrative home to families that the fall holiday is referencing October 16th to 20th, but it also, by my read of this, includes fall holiday on September 25th, and there was another one. I feel like I'm making this up. I wonder if we want to think about just a different language for the one-offs. So if they accommodate something, and I think they acknowledge and are respectfully assigned to a day off, and I have no objection to them, but I don't want to create confusion. If we say fall holiday, I think most people are going to think about the week's time frame, and then you have that one date on September 25th as well. So something that occurred to me. Because I see the value of September 25th, certainly, so I want to make sure but I also don't want to create confusion that we could avoid.
Sure. The term fall holiday is really adopted from our collective bargaining agreements that we have, and so we have specific language that calls for a fall holiday and a spring holiday, and so we use those interchangeably between the district calendar and our collective bargaining agreements. But we can certainly look at some potential
Maybe
name
perhaps
change.
you can call those holidays, and then the other ones are breaks.
And we do that.
Yeah, so-
The calendar does reflect fall break from October 16th through the 20th. And then on the September 25th, we do call that
A fall
a fall
holiday.
holiday.
Okay. And then I think you just take it back to the committee because, and make sure they're okay with those things and, yeah, because we don't want to cause any confusion. So,
Kathy?
I apologize for not asking this question in advance. Traditionally, in the fall, we have had, we've been able to give the day off to one or the other of the major Jewish holidays. You just checked.
Yom Kippur is the 25th.
Oh, never mind.
So for the proposed 23-24 calendar, Yom Kippur is, September 25th, as Chris pointed out. And then on the 24-25 calendar, Yom Kippur, really the holiest day of the Jewish community, falls on October the 11th, which is actually a day off for students. It's during our parent-teacher conference.
That's perfect, thank you.
Mr. Klippel?
My comment was going to be to say that we had addressed it, because we did. We received comment and feedback about that, but we are actually able to, and it doesn't happen, it isn't necessarily able to be accommodated every year, but actually in these two that we are voting on, we're actually accommodating both years, one of the holidays. So.
And I should say, I really appreciate that. I know I have some idea of just how complicated a dance the calendar committee is. So I appreciate your being able to balance all those competing priorities.
Yeah, I would say that there is no perfect calendar. I mean, if you look at any number of school districts in the area across the state. They all vary in some capacity. There's some things that people really like about them, and there's some things that, of course, people would like to change. And so we try to propose something that really meets the needs of all of our stakeholders.
Chris, go ahead and finish your thought.
So my other lead in question is, so taking a fall break that week and not doing it, say like Thanksgiving, or even that would create, 2 extra days that families, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're kind of grouping what was scattered throughout a 3-day weekend or a 4-day weekend more so into that fall break. Now, we're extending the school year a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a combination, and it doesn't exactly match from year to year because the calendar shifts.
Yes.
But certainly, yeah, we've done a combination. I mean, there's been some years that we've taken 2 fall breaks. We've had off for Veterans Day, and so when we don't do that, then we can add a day here, or if we add a day at the end of the school year, then it enables us to kind of cluster some days together. The other thing that we've done here that I didn't point out is that traditionally we take 3 institute days to start the school year. In both of these calendars, we cluster 2 institute days at the start and then 2 institute days when we return in January. So it allows us a little bit more of a PD at the midpoint of the school year, a little bit more time to address some of the district initiatives, maybe some more time for teachers to really prepare for that second half of the school year.
So my big question or ask is that you're having kids off for a week where we weren't accustomed to having them off for that full week. They're actually off for longer than that because they're off on the 12th and the 13th, looking at the 2024 school year. Is there ability to have, my youngest has older siblings that they can watch them if we're not taking a family vacation during this time. I know we have many families that aren't afforded the luxury of taking a vacation in October for a week. Are we thinking, I know we are, about what to do for our families that need childcare? I mean, that's
one of our task force.
Okay.
And I've already talked to the Y about being at the table with that, other community organizations to be at the table to help with that. The same as we would do for when we had balanced calendar, and not every family could afford to go on a vacation or have a sitter or whatever, or take off work. So it's that same concept, and we're also looking at Kids Plus. So we've got a lot of different things in the hopper, but we just got to get that group of people together and get it laid out.
Yeah.
So we've had that conversation.
I just think it's really important that we wrap around.
Yep. That's why when we were ready to roll and start having these conversations tomorrow,
Yep.
if this vote went through. And so, yes, because this is very important. I want to make sure we take care of our families.
I know we will. So,
Elizabeth?
And this is just a comment, and it is based on feedback that I was given, so I can't speak specifically to which date it is. But it is my understanding that thanks to more intentional efforts on the calendar committee, that there is now a Muslim holiday that it coincides with the day off.
Yeah, we actually have that built in this year as well.
Awesome.
In the 23-24, it is spring holiday on April 10th, Eid al-Fitr. And then on the 24-25 calendar, it is the 18th of April.
That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. I know that those holidays are very important to a lot of our students, and I'm glad that they also get to see the holidays that mean a lot to them recognized on our school calendar. So thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel,
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0 to approve the 2023-2024 and the 2024-2025 school calendars. Thank you, Mr. Casillas. That will move us to item D, which is the transportation reimbursement agreement. I'll turn this over to Mr. Walker and Ms. Linda Matkowski.
Good evening. So as previously shared with the community, the school of choice model dramatically increases the transportation services provided by the district. For this reason, we have been exploring ways to reduce this burden following cooperative strategies, development, and recommendation of student assignment scenarios more closely based on the current choice model. Administration, in cooperation with legal counsel and district insurance advisor, developed a transportation reimbursement agreement for use beginning with the 2023-2024 school year. Families of students who qualify for transportation will have the option of entering into the agreement to provide their own transportation. Data collected by Cooperative Strategy suggests many families are interested in this option. By approving the use of this agreement, the board is also authorizing the superintendent to determine the appropriate individuals to execute the agreement on behalf of the district.
This is an action item. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Soteropoulos Vasquez? Okay. Did you put new speakers in here? I swear I can hear better today. Okay. Thank you. I apologize. Questions? Comments? The only question I had is, I noticed that parents have to prove insurance and the amount of the liability of $100,000. Is that normal? Is that a typical amount for liability on every car? The law requires it already.
Yes, we called and talked to the attorneys, and that was what the basic is, what basically it is. You can make it greater than that, but we didn't want to put the hardship on our families.
Okay. So the state of Illinois already requires that for drivers?
Liability.
Liability insurance is required. I wasn't sure about the amount.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
We have the language will from our attorneys, so, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Kleppel?
Just a comment. We're putting things in motion already.
Okay. Oh, Ms. Vasquez, sorry.
I want to make sure I understand the Exhibit A. One of the portions of Exhibit A is, hold on, number of days student attended school. We're averaging that off which year? Are we doing the previous year? I'm wondering if we shouldn't be doing it in a year that didn't include a global pandemic or the repercussions. I didn't know when we were averaging for the day, or is it just the number of days that they should attend school? It is not something, we're not looking back and saying, okay, in fourth grade you attended, of the 181 days you attended 160. So we're saying you should attend 180, and that's the presumption that you'll attend this coming year for reimbursement.
Yes,
correct?
and we'll be looking at current attendance, so we don't have a situation where maybe somebody has a higher degree of absenteeism and this proportion gets off balance. Remember, this is also going to be submitted to the state for whatever reimbursement the state's going to give us. And they're going to require documentation and evidence, so they're going to match up, just like they do on our regular transportation claim. Days student attended, and when they come in and do an audit, they actually go through the attendance records, and they actually go through the bus routes, and then they go through on-off sheets, and they make sure that all of it's lining up, so.
I think I asked because I think there was some confusion that we were looking at previous attendance as a predictor.
No.
And in fact, we're looking at scheduled days in the building, and then there will be review and audit, certainly, but for our purposes in this rubric, we're saying.
It is current.
Thank you.
Current attendance.
And will that, I'll go back to work scope creep in the business office with this addition, and I know you said you were staffing, adding more people into the business office. Okay. But it comes to the state, so it's going to be interesting, the audits and how they cross-check all that. Okay.
And it goes back to what we talked about earlier. We have to reallocate our resources, and that's staff. So we already started conversations on who's going to do what and how, and so there's going to be some changes that I think the question came, will we have to do anything as a board, vote on anything? Probably some staffing changes. So, I mean, position realignment and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, any other questions, comments? Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0 to approve the use of the reimbursement agreement beginning in the 2023-2024 school year. Thank you, Henry. That will move us to item C, which is student discipline. It is the decision of the Board of Education that student number 208942 shall be provided an alternative placement for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year and the first semester of the 2023-2024 school year for violating conduct codes number 19, physical confrontation with student, and number 36, mob action of the Unit 4 Student Code of Conduct. So long as the student meets the attendance and behavioral requirements of the student's alternative placement during the expulsion period, the board shall hold its discipline determination in abeyance. If the student does not accept the alternative placement or meet the attendance and behavioral requirements of the offered alternative placement, then the decision of the Board of Education is to expel the student for the remainder of the duration stated above. The duration of the alternative placement expulsion is based on the egregiousness of the violation of the conduct codes listed above, prior discipline and other interventions attempted, continuing safety threat posed by students' presence in school, the significant detrimental impact of the student's conduct on the learning environment. The removal of the student from the learning environment is in the best interest of the district because the student's continuing presence would constitute a safety risk and/or disruption. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Shannon Vasquez, sorry. I know. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Abstain.
Mr. Kleppel?
Abstain. I was not present for the board conversation.
Ms. Soteropoulos?
No.
Motion carries 4, 2 abstentions, 1 no. That will move us into our consent agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Soteropoulos Shannon. I will read through these. Item B is the approval of the bid for International Prep Academy East entrance paving and concrete repairs. Item C is Central High School 2023 spring trip to France. Item D is the approval of the amendment to the IGA between the Champaign Public Library and Unit 4 School District. Item E is human resource changes. Item F is the approval of closed session minutes. Any questions? Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kleppel?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. That to move us to item 8, which is public comment. There are comment cards on the back table. I have one in front of me. Oh. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Oh, gotcha, okay. This is about elections, it's not about...
It didn't fit the other.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Any other cards? Okay, that'll move us to 9, which is board member communications. Mr. Kleppel?
So, I apologize I was late. I was attending the Edison Middle School volleyball match versus St. Joe this evening, and my daughter started for the first time. It was kind of exciting, but I do apologize for being late. But I was going to use this opportunity to talk about a couple things that will answer a couple questions that were talked about in public comment. Not that I'm answering public comment, but we have 2 fabulous 7th graders that play on the 7th grade volleyball team from IPA. And so the volleyball is in a co-op currently. I know there's some restrictions on how long that'll last and everything, but I saw recently posted on Facebook, they were beat, but the IPA Panthers got beat by Next Generation Middle School, but the boys basketball team at IPA competed against Next Gen, which is a smaller school that Edison doesn't compete against too. So there's kind of that balance of athletics. Girls basketball. And so archery, there's several opportunities and continue to see that grow. And I know the co-op option is often used in other smaller communities and stuff. And so hope to see that continue to grow, but it is something that is there and in place. IPA has been a K-8 school now for 2, going on their 3rd year or 2nd. It's been in place for a couple of years now, so.
I think we authorized that growth in 2020.
Yeah, so, and then just continuing to grow like our instrument and strings and programs and bringing those online, so.
Thank you, Mr. Kleppel. Can I give a shout out to Dr. Harden and our families for really shifting gears quickly to serve our community families, the 56 families that were displaced in a housing unit.
Come on out. Come on out. Come on out.
Come on out. I think when people read that, Dr. Harden, they don't realize that that affects 56 Unit 4 families. But thank you, and thank you to the City of Champaign for stepping in and caring for our families, because that displaced so many of our students who now transportation once again was moving and shuffling and moving around to serve our students' needs that were suddenly displaced. And your leadership in that is noticed, and your team and our transportation department and all the work they did. So thank you.
Equity in action.
Thank you for that. Dr. Baker.
Just a couple of notes. I had an opportunity to go to the BTW Garden Hills game. It was standing room only. I mean, they definitely needed a bigger space, but it was awesome to watch the students in action, the assistant principals. One of them was the referee. I love the Booker T. Washington song. I love seeing the cheerleaders jump in. I saw SEL in action, and I think that's something that's been missing from our schools. You can't do it all in the classroom. And so I saw it, and it definitely warmed my heart. And I'm excited to see what becomes of that. And as the principal said, we have to meet parents where they are, and that's absolutely doing that. I also want to give a shout out to Ben Lieb, who I can't say that I know everything, but he earned first chair in French horn. He goes to Edison, which is not an easy instrument to play. I know because I had a kid that quit. So good job to Ben. And then I happened to stop at a coffee shop in town and happened to see our Centennial and Central principals talking. And it was awesome to see them outside of our school buildings on a Saturday, probably planning. And I'm sure they were scheming. And so I want to give them a shout out for the work that they're doing that potentially no one else sees.
Dr. Baker, I want to say thank you about shouting out the intramurals for the elementary, because it's all of our elementary buildings were offered an opportunity to participate, and some just kind of like, well, let's kind of wait and see what happens. And so the rest of them they're looking and seeing what's happening, and I'm sure they're going to join next year. So yeah, so it was available to all of them.
Heather.
In the vein of wishing good luck, tomorrow's Twin City for our boys swimmers, so Champaign Central and Champaign Centennial take on Urbana. It promises to be an incredible swim meet. And then on a separate note, as we make big decisions as a board member, lots of things have been said tonight. One of the things that gives me tremendous peace is we hand this off now to the people that we know can do the work. When we were trying to come back to in-person learning, I remember thinking it got so quiet after we made a decision. And then I realized it was because it was in the hands of the teachers and the principals and the counselors and the people who genuinely know how to put these moves into action. So there's an element of peace at 9:20 at night on a Monday to be able to say, while this has not come lightly, we are grateful that we get to hand it to the next group of people that will deliver on this enormous decision that does not affect my house beyond this meeting, truthfully, anymore, but it affects this community. And there is peace for me in knowing that the incredible teachers in Unit 4 and the incredible administrators who continue to make me proud every day are going to take it on, and they're going to convince me that they've got the next step in place, and when I don't know what to ask, they'll show me how to ask a question, and I will continue to lean on the gentleman at the back of the room who are smiling at me right now. Thank you, Mr. Laird. Thank you, Mr. Birch. But genuinely, be at peace in knowing the decision is made. The next steps are the really impressive ones, and it's in the right hands.
Thank you, Heather. Elizabeth?
Just wanted to throw out some opportunities for people who are so inclined to help. There is a committee meeting this week. It was already mentioned earlier, but it's the Finance Committee meeting. It meets here, like right here on Wednesday at 5:30. Obviously, the snow might change that. But it's a great way to learn about, to answer a question that was asked. Has the people who put the budget together thought about this? I assure you they have. But if you want to be part of that meeting, or if you want to learn how budgets work, because budgets are moral documents, that's a great place to start, right here, Wednesday, 5:30. Other ways you could help, you could sign up for mentoring. I already saw that at the beginning of the meeting, but I don't think we can repeat it enough. CU 1-to-1 is always looking for more mentors. There are kids in our buildings who are waiting for an adult who is child-centric and wants to grow along with the child, so sign up for that. Speaking to an item that was on the consent agenda tonight and another item that was on the consent agenda last week, we have students in our district. I believe Centennial Orchestra is going to St. Louis for a field trip. And then students from, I believe it was Central tonight, who are going to France. They are fundraising. These trips cost over $4,000, well, the France trip costs over $4,000. And the students from Centennial who are going to St. Louis as part of the orchestra, they are fundraising as well. So if you want to help, but you can't commit the time, if you've got money to throw around, that's a great place to invest in our community, is invest in our students, help them fundraise so that they don't have to spend practice time or homework time or whatever asking people to donate money to them. Like, just go help them. So just some ideas.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Oh, Mr. Kleppel, we're back for more.
Thought Dr. Baker might touch on it, but I believe we had some Big 12 champions in wrestling this past weekend. I was late. But I will use this opportunity. So Madison, my oldest, has been helping with statistics this year, and it's been interesting to watch her because she loves going, and I think that's a testament to the coaches and the young men on that team that she feels comfortable with. She does it with a couple friends, but you go to a gym and there's all these young men wandering around, and she loves it. She absolutely loves it. And so shout out to Central in particular, but just having a fantastic program that she enjoys being part of. And they've talked about maybe wrestling even next year for some girls, which it could be interesting, but it's really been interesting to watch something that I haven't ever been part of, that my girls haven't traditionally been involved in, but just seeing them welcome and everything. It's a really great program that they got over there with. So just a shout out to that. It's interesting, you talked about the basketball programs and it being offered, and I'm really excited to see that introduced into all the elementary schools, and I think it will catch on. But I think Dr. Baker kind of talked about, bringing Franklin forward, and Edison's had some of its success because we have a group of students that have gotten to play sports together for so long, and they're not the best basketball players, they're not the best softball players, they're not the best volleyball players, but they've had the opportunity to play together and grow together. And some of those opportunities we've been able to provide for them. And so if we as a district, in partnership with the Park District, and can really wrap that around, and something that excited me from day one with you coming on board, Dr. Boozer, we're talking about your love of sports, Springfield Lamphere, and just, it is, I have a daughter who functions much differently than my other daughter, and sports provides that anchor, that thing, that the consistency, the practice, and being around that. And when she's in season, she's a better student, and has had some tremendous success with her teammates because of some of the opportunities. So I'm really excited to see us growing that. We've had softball now for 6 years, but baseball coming on, both softball and baseball at Edison, highest any of the middle schools have reached, at 3rd place this year. But seeing that continued growth and seeing it being offered, so our students at Franklin and stuff, part of it's just having the numbers and the ability of people to do it. So I'm excited about where that's going in the direction. So.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Thank you. A couple things I just want to say. I did have an opportunity to walk through. Central talked about the culture and climate that is different in that building, and I missed the ribbon cutting ceremony, so I was able to go back and walk through the building a few weeks later, and very different from the school that our student taught in. So it was kind of nice to kind of walk those halls again and see the changes, see the improvements, not only in the facility, but just the sense of, I mean, people talk about community in buildings, but like it was actually felt at every corner, every turn. Not used to that welcoming presence. So that was, I just want to commend Central and their team for not just paying lip service. And then secondly, I've been vacillating whether or not I say anything about this. I've tried to stay quiet throughout this entire process because there's some things that kind of showed up that I won't even say eye-opening, saddening, but not surprising. And just even how we got here. As I said in our last meeting, this entire process was a stress test on our system. And we heard loud and clear from our community what was wanted. Even 2 meetings ago, we heard the history, we heard how we got here. And it was a trajectory that we were attempting to disrupt. But again, we heard that status quo is what we want. We have a lawful, compelling interest to desegregate our schools by race and social class, and that was a goal. And from my understanding, that was a goal, that was a focus. But yet, what was saddening, and again, not surprising, that our feedback shows factors of perception took precedence over actual metrics that lead to progress. And achievement, yet again, like being a product of Unit 4, seeing that consent decree being part of, those data points, and just as an adult, and having my kids go through this district, achievement yet again took a back seat to the cannon fodder around the issue. But Dr. Boozer, we we brought you here to do a job. We brought you here to address academic achievement. This is what we asked. This is what you asked of us to get the job done. And that's why I supported this recommendation tonight. With that being said, I hope the community knows and understands that Dr. Boozer does not get a rubber stamp from anybody up here. She knows, her team knows the stakes, what's at stake of bringing recommendations to us that have not been vetted, that have not received their due diligence. And so that's why I'm in support of what you have asked us to do. But you also know that you got to produce. Like, you are in a position where you got to produce. I'm fully confident that that's something that you and your team can do. You have shown time and time again. You've risen to the challenge. You've risen to the occasion, and this is that's the expectation of this too. But I do want to say to our community, those who are most affected by these changes, I hope you find solace in knowing that you're helping students that you may never meet have a better, improved educative experience and opportunity within Unit 4. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be ignored. You too will receive the full freight of support in your transition and this change. As Dr. Boozer promised, our task force are going to tease out the support issues and make sure that it's this statement. There's an Aunt Emma to every generalization, so there's always an exception to the rule. And I'm hoping that our task forces can do their due diligence and do what's best for our students. And I mean, if you are an employee of the district, you are an employee of the district, not to a building. So I'm hoping that if a student needs to move in, that, if that is what's best in the best interest for our students with special needs, that we do what's absolutely necessary to see their achievement. Because again, that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Everything else that we make it about, again, saddening, but not surprised.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. That will move us to item 10. Make sure I have my numbers right. Which is, whom did we affect, whom do we tell? There's a lot. And I know Stacy's here, just waiting. We have an audit, a very beautiful audit. So thank you, Ms. Matkowski. Those are delightful calls to take. We did a school spotlight with Central and Botfield. Knocked it out of the park. I love these. Thank you for bringing those back. Jefferson Middle School fire alarms. We did updates to our student assignment process. Those will be big, they will be challenging, but I believe, and I know we believe in you, Dr. Boozer, and in the task force. The school calendars are approved, so parents looking to make decisions for their calendars for 2023, 2024, and 2024 and 25, those should be posted. They're posted already? They're not on the website yet? Okay. They're on board docs, but they will eventually make their way there. We do have the reimbursement agreement for transportation. And that will move us into item 11, which is future meetings. A regular board meeting, February 13th, February 27th. We do not have a need to move back into exec session. That will move us to item 14. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Soteropoulos Vasquez. Tammy, we can just call it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, we are adjourned, 9:33.